Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Renegade Operative, and of course, as with all things, we are back cruising the streets and howling with Buster Wolf Podcasts. I had a couple of technical issues setting this up, but that's besides the point. We are now live, we are here, and everything is going swell with our second re-recording of this. This is a post-EVO 2026 world. We have all the reveals out there. We have all the information. We have character reveals. We have controversy. We have drama. And it's all going to be aired out here as we bang our fists to the ground and say, I am your host, Renegade Operative, and I'm here to introduce my panel. So first, we have Mr. Rad.
So, hi. I spent 30 hours watching EVO this weekend. I never want to do that again. On the other hand, I am excited for CEO next month because it's going to be the first major for Tokon. That's going to be chaos.
Andre, could you reintroduce yourself?
Yo, Andre B. Venom. There's a lot of good stuff coming up on the horizon. I mean, we got Virtua Fighter, definitely the Tekken 8 killer, as I like to say.
That's a lot I want to say about Crossroads. Personally speaking, they had a lot of cool news and information, but we will get around to it when we get there. Kaneki, go on your DC roast, good sir.
Oh man, I would, but let's just say I'm not very happy with DC gaming right now.
Alia, the resident Wii U. I'm sorry, I had to do it.
Resident. What? Excuse me?
I had to do it. I had to make some sort of difference, so I decided to go with
Is this
that
because
one.
I eat Asian food? Excuse you.
No.
I like my vegetables. Hi. I'm Alia, also known as Leah Levy. I am a VR chat DJ and a VTuber and a musician, and I kind of run on really shitty specs, as we joke about. So I'm excited to talk about all the games, and also from the perspective for people who don't have really good PCs right now. And frick you, Ren. Leave my food alone.
Hey, look, I just call it as I see it. It's 100% fine. And I'm your resident Tokon lover, Renegade Operative, to which I wish I was playing more of the beta right now, but that's unfortunate. I think I have enough experience to talk about it. Speaking of Marvel Tokon, the open beta. This took place over the weekend, and a couple of people have played it. A couple of people have played the closed beta. What were your thoughts on this beta for Marvel Tokon? What are your first impressions of the gameplay? What stood out to you the most, positively or negatively? Feel free to touch on anything from the gameplay itself to Sony's regional restrictions and the reported PC performance issues on higher end hardware. You can start on whatever note you like, negative or positive, and I will have Rad go first.
Oh no, man. I think I can fight you on the Tokon Lover title. So I know people here are going to tell you all about the technical foibles, but I won't be able to do that because I played this on PlayStation and it went smooth as butter as opposed to third world country PC. I do, however, have a few minor caveats I will get into. I will say that the first day of Tokon felt like some type of illegal free-based drug. I was playing it all Friday as soon as I got back home. It was so addicting, and I had close matches with nearly everyone involved. In terms of discovering how well your team meshes together with point character and assists and putting the pieces together in this one, I haven't felt such a desire to experiment on a fighting game like this since Marvel vs. Capcom 3. However, I felt like the final day is when it got really ugly because there is a training mode now, and the way modern fighting games go, the way information gets spread, everyone levels up at a record pace. So my time spent playing ranked matches in Platinum tier became less of a back and forth and more of a struggle for survival. I feel like the high I currently have for this game will slowly go away after 1 week of retail when the skill level dramatically rises. Like, it's absolutely one of those games where it's going to be easy to play and even easier to not just level up, but snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. Not like there's anything like, say, X factor in the game, no fancy comeback mechanic to speak of, but momentum is still a thing here. And most of the cast really doesn't have many reliable, invincible reversal tools without relying on some core system mechanics to get some breathing room. So I feel like there are some issues and habits that should be ironed out with time, but for the weekend that I had the game, it was a massive and, quite frankly, suffocating problem because this is yet another fighting game where you don't want to be in the corner. Not to mention, there were some brief withdrawal symptoms with a small maintenance time on Friday afternoon, and a few cases during the actual uptime, where it took a while for matchmaking to do its thing and locate compatible players. It's not fair. It wasn't too long. I think I once had to wait upwards of 4 minutes to find a match, and this slight pause in locating an opponent applied to both ranked and casual experiences for the record. But overall, I think I walked away from this game a net positive and a soon-to-be day-one physical copy of the game. In terms of characters I'm actually using, I'm running Star-Lord on point with Doctor Doom on shooting assist and the second in command in case Star-Lord matchup's not working out. I have Magic on vertical assist with a literal vertical slice, and I have Magneto on assault with the power to attract opponents towards me, whether kicking or screaming. I'm just waiting for certain characters that we're gonna talk about later to get added to the game to consider my final team. But overall, this is one of the better betas I've experienced when it comes to fighting games because it's not often it made me a day one absolutely need in my veins already. I think the last beta to do that to me was Street Fighter 6, so that is high praise. And I'm out.
Alia, I've noticed you've been playing this for the weekend. What do you think of Marvel Tokon?
Well, first and foremost, I want to acknowledge that yes, on PC it plays like shit. I couldn't even get to the menu screen. I realize I am a little bit older specs, but people with 2070s and stuff were struggling. So, be aware of that if you do play on PC. I did play on PS5 and it ran smoothly on PS5. Uh, I really like the small details, like there's characters who aren't even on the roster in the backgrounds at the X Mansion, and I like the lobby system, although some people I've seen say it's overdone. I do enjoy it a lot. It has a lot of details of characters sitting together who have long history storylines together. I like the touches of, like, say, Black Panther and Storm having lunch together, even though, like, in story they're divorced now, but they're still friends, so they're still having lunch together. I like those things. I did play through the single story chapter you can play through, and I'm not gonna say anything because it technically is spoilers. If you played the beta, you know. Uh, it was really well done art style, really nice. The design they decided to go with for that. I am running currently Magic, Storm, Penny, and Black Panther. Being Shuri, Black Panther, for those who didn't know. Uh, regular Black Panther is in the like area you walk around, but Shuri is the Black Panther in this game. So don't expect T'Challa. Uh, but I really enjoyed it. I will say optimization probably for PC. On PS5 it was fine. It was only 15 gigabytes, even with all the other stuff loaded in. But they definitely need to optimize it more. So I hope they will do that before its release in a couple weeks. I doubt it, but or a week. I doubt it will. But hopefully, because I have my doubts and my hopes for the fact that PlayStation is funding it with Arc System Works, because Arc System Works is usually really good at optimization, but it's going to depend on what PlayStation and Marvel give them a budget to do, obviously, before day one. So I'm really excited, but I am also a little worried. As far as like fluidity, if you've played BlazBlue or you've played Guilty Gear, you'll just slide right in pretty much. It's not anything like there are unique mechanics to it, but like it's not anything drastically different as far as like how you handle your combos and stuff.
Kaneki, what about you? How do you feel about Marvel Tokon so far?
Well, I want to say for the record, first and foremost, outside of, well, let's just say this: if the fall game comes out and they haven't addressed the PC issue, because I was ready to prepare to buy this game in the future for PC, because with the whole Sony physical disc slowly phasing out or will phase out by the year 2028, I don't want to support, well, at least in terms of Sony's platform, I don't want to support it on their console anymore. At best, if I ever want to get a Sony game, I'll just wait for it to be on PC. But if they don't even let ArcSys to do the bare minimum and optimize the PC port of this fighting game, then I might as well just skip out, because otherwise, the beta itself on PS5, man, PC dudes are about to miss out what is probably the second most hyped fighting game in the modern era, right next to Street Fighter 6, man. It's just like they're really gonna miss out a really great gem. My concern with this game, outside of the fluidity and what the roster you can choose from in the beta, is the fact that they need to address some technicality in terms of the gameplay, such as why do certain characters jab way faster than they supposed to, as opposed to the player. Why do Magic, for example, has a way faster jab than almost the entirety of the roster, and you cannot block on time or react to it? No matter what she does, she'll always connects a hit into a combo. That is one of my major concerns about the beta. My other major concern is once it hits into day 3 of the beta, you're gonna run into people that already knows how to play the game. And it's really frustrating, because what if somebody is new to play this game to play this beta right now? All they want to do is learn the characters online, and all they're gonna deal with is almost infinite combos, just like MVC3. I hope by the full release it's not going to be the case, but they really need to address something about some technicalities. Otherwise, I have fun with the beta.
All right, I'll go next. I personally liked this beta. I thought it was good. I didn't think it was flawless for reasons I'm going to describe, but I'll start with the positive first. I believe that they have a solid gameplay system. I like the gameplay loop. It's of course your typical stuff that you probably would expect from other games. Your light, medium, heavy attacks, bringing out the assist for characters to continue combos, try to jump and stuff, assist, jump on the side, counter. It's typical stuff, but it's just done in a nice, cool comic booky flair that I really appreciate it. And it's fluid, it looks nice. This game really impressed me when I played it for the first time, because I missed out on the previous alphas before this, which was quite a shame. But now it seems like they're starting to get their stride on the gameplay, which I appreciate, and it just functions really well. But for the negative side of things, I know people already addressed the PC issue to death. There is the regional differences of them it's a regional lockout, rather, of them sort of locking the game down in other countries. I know they mitigated some of this issue, but it's still not fully resolved from what I know. There's still countries where you cannot play this game due to PlayStation shenanigans. then there's the thing of my personal issues with some of the gameplay. And from my experience, one of the things I did not like is some of the connections. It just, I don't know if it was fully, ironed out or anything, but I swear to God, I would fight someone with 4 bars and I just would feel like I'm underwater. And it just felt like, okay, after this match, I'm done. I'm quitting out of here because I literally can't fight this guy. I seen a video of someone who had such a weird connection that he killed the guy 3 times, which I don't know how that's possible, but that literally happened in a match, and the back of my brain saw that video, and I'm going, that should not be happening in a match at all, because the guy should be dead. Like, how they do the fighting system is, I thought at first they were gonna do it like in VC, but it's not, where all your characters are tied to your 1 health bar, and if you get federally fucked in a match, you're just dead. It makes things go quicker, and there's a synergy there, but when I saw that guy die 3 times on 1 health bar, I'm like, what is going on? The other thing that I have a negative about for the game is I feel like the assists could be mapped to a better button. From what I realized, the default was you press forward, you press X, and then the assist comes out and does this thing. And I know you can remap buttons, whatever, but I just felt like it was a bit convoluted for the most part, but I started to get around it rather quickly. Uh, but yeah, I just miss, L1, throw the assists out. I just think in the future they should have a scheme dedicated to that because it felt a little bit alien, but you started to get used to it over time. And the other thing is the jabs. I have to agree with. Some people just do insane combos way too quickly. Like, I've seen that magic combo where she doesn't hit the ground with the flame like 20 times already, and I have not been able to stuff that move at all.
Sorry.
What?
I said I'm one of those people that do it. Sorry.
No. It's it's something that I just cannot get past online. So I would personally believe that maybe some characters have faster jabs than others, which I would agree, because I don't think the Blaze jab is anywhere close to hers, as opposed to being quick. So that's something they should fix in the future. But overall, I had a great time playing this game. Just some small inconveniences aside. And my team, for the most part, is Blade, Spider-Man, Black Panther, and who's my last anchor character? I just keep forgetting. Captain America. I think it's just randomly Captain America because I enjoy playing with him in the tutorial, and I just stayed with him for some reason. And plus, I like shield bashing people, so that is that's a +1 in my book. Next up is not Rad. I'm sorry. Andre.
Yeah.
What did you think of the beta?
Okay, so I think of this. So honestly, I really enjoyed it. Tokon, honestly, when I like booted up Tokon, it genuinely, what came in my mind is like, it felt like, I want to say, the Marvel vs. Capcom sequel we should have gotten. And it took only like 15 years. I don't count on VCI. That game is not good. But so I really had a great time with Tokon. Really beautiful visual style. The roster is I really like the roster of this game. I kind of like that. I do like some of the picks, like Green Goblin and Carnage, for example. I really like that. The game is very easy to get into, and once you get into the flow of it, everything flows really well. I feel like my only real gripe with this game is there's no reversals, because like, I was streaming this game the other day, and I was just getting my ass kicked. Like, at one point, I was fighting a Magic player, and funny enough, since you guys brought up jabs, I was getting locked into a combo. Like, I literally couldn't break free of it, and I basically got the shit beaten out of me. And this happened like multiple times. I think another maybe gripe I do have is maybe the health system, because I don't know, I do think lose out a little too fast in this game. Like, the damage is pretty ridiculous, but. And also, I think the assist button is a little weird because I thought it was like L2, but no, it's actually X, so it took time. But overall, I really like Tokon. I think it has a really strong chance of being. I think it's going to be a smash hit. It's definitely considering it's, Marvel, and Arc System Works has been on fire with their game. So I feel like this game is going to have a pretty strong competitive life. I sort of can see it lasting like 2 to 3 years. Like, it's gonna be a hot minute, but yeah. Also, the PC port. My condolences to all the PC players. I hope they fix that shit on release because that is unacceptable, especially for a fighting game beta in 2026. That's really all I have to say on that.
I was gonna say one last thing, and it was a suggestion. Maybe they should at least have 2 health bars to make the match a little bit longer, but that's about it. Like,
No, I
nothing else.
agree. I agree, honestly. Yeah, I think.
If I may interject, 2
Oh,
health
okay.
bars, but the game has to be 2 out of 3. You can't do 2 health bars and do 3 out of 5. Matches would take far too long.
I agree with
Mhm.
that. Maybe
Oh,
like
I
alternate mode or something, or lobby mode where you can toggle that and people can play. That'd be cool. But we are moving on to the next question, which is another Tokon related question. This one is more for some of the newer characters they reveal on the roster, because since Evo has long passed, they showed off Ghost Rider, Loki, Deadpool, Blade, and Cyclops as the first DLC character. What are your thoughts on those characters and the roster overall, and how do you feel about Carnage also making the cut? And I will go with Rat first.
I think that there are a few good surprises in that 20 character bunch. I mean, there's a couple of obvious omissions. I mean, seriously, there's no variation of Thor in the game when Loki is in the lineup. But on the other hand, people are very happy Blade is playable in a genuine fighting game for the first time, and I personally am happy to see Carnage, not fucking Venom again, getting the symbiote spotlight because, well, I've been toying around with UMVC 3 mods and the community edition that gets constantly updated. It just got updated yesterday, in fact. And Carnage has just been my go-to lab partner whenever I boot up that game. And if Tokon Carnage feels anything like modded UMVC 3 Carnage does, I think this will be the beginning of a beautiful friendship. For now, at least, because the game had the gall to include Cyclops. Phoenix 5 Cyclops. You know, from Avengers vs. X-Men, everyone's favorite Marvel crossover event. Something tells me that such a unique Cyclops will set the tone for what you can expect from the DLC in this game. Like, this dev team may very well go off the rails with its DLC choices. Me personally, may I suggest some of the new X-Men, like, say, Surge, Rockslide, or Waifu Pixie, maybe? Like, really go beyond the usual suspects, like... We know that Psylocke, Nightcrawler, Colossus, these guys are presumably off the table since they're in the background of the X-Mansion stage. So, I say to you, on this day, Arxis, no, more X-Men. Or Mantis would be cool. That would be fine too.
Alright, it's gonna be my turn. I'm gonna go kind of quickly, but I'm going to say, for the record, there are some people that I kind of want to try. Namely, I guess it would be either Deadpool, since he does like the Mortal Kombat references, and he was doing DBZ references, and it was funny. The typical fourth wall breaking, Merc with a mouth. I would like to pick that character up. He is not. It's a couple of characters that are definitely not in this beta, and that's going to be reserved for the final game when you pay money to get it. As for Carnage, I think it's fine that he's here. I'm personally someone who doesn't mind playing with someone new, considering that mostly in fighting games they feature Venom overall, but that's not to say that I don't miss Venom as well, because I remember Marvel vs. Capcom Origins where I played as him quite a bit. Therefore, if he's a DLC or something, I wouldn't mind it. As for Cyclops, Ghost Rider, Loki, and Blade, I like Blade. Cyclops is probably gonna be a spammy character. I'm not gonna fucking lie. I'm gonna tell the truth. Okay, I see optic blasts flying everywhere, and it does make me wonder how the meta of some of the zoning will work with him. I think if he's done in a certain way, it's gonna be very successful, and he might be a pain in the ass, but we will see. And Ghost Rider, I only seen a little bit of. It seems like he does easy combos though. And Loki I've seen the least of, but it's cool to see him in a fighting game where he's kind of also someone that's not really too common in the fighting game sphere. Therefore, I'm all for these picks, and I'm all for them doing some creative things that are a little bit against the norm, and I'm hoping the rest of the DLC follows that line as well. Alia, it is your turn. What do you think of these characters on the roster of Marvel Tokon?
Well, I think it's pretty unanimous. Everybody knows my opinion on Cyclops. I fucking hate Cyclops in general. Uh, I will admit he's fun in Marvel Rivals, but like I freaking hate Cyclops. Uh, but it Ghost Rider being added is really cool. I think the timing's really good with Ryan Gosling being announced as playing Johnny Blaze. So that should be nice. Loki being added, yeah, Loki. I expect that at this point. He was ignored for a very long time, but I feel like the MCU like blew him up in such popularity. It's kind of bonkers. Deadpool is doing the Deadpool things. Unfortunately, these days, like he's just the haha punching bag. Anything about like mentioning his daughter or any like the deeper things they kind of ignore about his character. So he fits basically the Deadpool stereotype I've gotten used to at this point. Blade is Blade. He plays like Blade. He's fun like Blade. He is Blade. You know. As far as Carnage, thank God all the Spider-Man dweebs can shut up. I like Spider-Man. We've been pretty clear about that in many past episodes and years past. But like the amount of people who were crashing out because Venom and Carnage were not instantly on the roster, but we had Penny Parker and we had Ms. Marvel and we had Magic and Danger. I was like, can you all shut up? You don't need the same 5 characters in every single game. I'm getting really tired of the same 5 characters in every single Marvel game. Like obviously there's the ones that are gonna be there no matter what, but like the intro lineup, I would like difference for once, and so having it shooken up is nice. But I feel like he's just gonna be a Venom clone, which it will be easy to learn, but like I feel like they're probably just gonna be lazy and make him a Venom clone. So
Kaneki, it is your turn. What do you think of the roster for Marvel Tokon for the newer characters and some surprise returning ones?
Well, I would like to say the very first and foremost is that thank God they did the right thing and decide, hey, that Deadpool character, let's not make him DLC. Let's make him return in full fashion, voiced by the one and only Nolan North. And oh boy, I can't wait to see what people can do in terms of his moveset and combos when they first revealed all the new team with him, Loki, and Blade. It's like, out of all the characters I wanted to try out the most, if I do ever get the game, they'll be Deadpool. Because he is usually always the most different and compared to other fighters in terms of his moveset and probably his backstory to the story of Marvel Tokon. As for the other characters like Carnage and Cyclops, well, Phoenix, Cyclops, I'm glad that they're in Tokon as an addition. Although, I'm not gonna lie, there is this side of me that I do want Venom to be in there just so everyone can have their symbiote fun in a fighting game for once, instead of just doing it through mods. I don't mind the roster overall, but since this is an Arches game, I kind of want them to go a little crazy. Just add Soul Bad Guy as a guest character, and I'll be happy.
Oh my god, Soul as a guest character.
Yes.
I wouldn't be against that. That'd be pretty crazy, but that'd be cool.
Well, Andre, it is your turn. What is your thoughts of some of the picks on the roster of Marvel Tokon?
Oh, gladly. So personally, I actually love the roster. I like how they had some unorthodox picks like Green Goblin, for example. That I didn't expect that, but I'm actually not against that. Let's see, Loki over Thor is really cool. Then we all know how Ghost Rider Deadpool either gonna be. As for Carnage, well, Bill, I think I kind of want them to be in this game because the reason being is like I don't want Carnage to stand on his own 2 feet. You know what I mean? Like I love him, he's dope, but I think, but I don't think, but I think with fighting games, they don't always have to have the same characters always come back over and over again. I think like if like sometimes certain characters like miss a fighting game, like they had, like. And I really love Carnage's design. He looks fucking crazy, and also the voice actor for Carnage does an excellent job. And yeah, also in terms of mains for Tokon, love Shuri. She's cool. She's a lock. I'm definitely gonna main her if I ever get the game. Spider-Man. I really like Spider-Man and Cap. Ghost Rider was really cool too. Ghost Rider's kind of grew on me. I really like his play style and aesthetic. So yeah. Overall, though, the roster of this game is pretty strong. As for Cyclops, well, I mean, Cyclops, I guess, is fine. Yeah, he's whatever. I never cared for Cyclops. I'm gonna be honest. I mean, if it was someone like Psylocke or even like say, I don't know, the Thing, then maybe I'd be a little more excited. But yeah, it is what it is. They're gonna get more characters as the game goes on. So that's all I really gotta say on the matter.
All right, we're moving to Tekken 8. Question number 3, and certain elephant in the room, the demon himself, Yujiro Hanma from Baki was revealed to be the final character for season 3 of Tekken 8. What is your reaction to them introducing a character from Baki the Grappler, and do you think he's a good fit for the game? And we will go with Rat first.
First off, I think this is a game-changing fit. Like, Yujiro is not too out there for a character on the level of Tekken's juggernauts. But let's focus on the core of him being a guest character. When it comes to the reason of including a guest character in a fighting game, pushing product is paramount. And from what I have seen from like Steam player count, long before Yujiro was even in the game, Yujiro pushed product. Now, I will admit, I'm not fully versed in the Baki universe, but even ground level enjoyers will tell you that this man is a piece of shit and an absolute menace. I mean, this man impregnated several innocent women in the hope that one of them will give birth to the offspring that will be strong enough to beat him. Like, this man is exaggerated testosterone. He is masculinity to the nth degree. So, in theory, he should work as a member of the Tekken universe, provided you downplay the whole rape angle. But good choice. It's very clear that people on staff, Murray, are fans of Grappler Baki and jumped at the chance of including any of the characters from that manga in Tekken. So here we are. Yujiro's in that game, and you get to deal with the blowback when his traits are eventually discovered and shared with the public. Have fun.
Okay, I have several thoughts on this. I'm just gonna get right into the discourse angle first, because that's always the most entertaining. Uh, the arguments behind Yujiro for two reasons was very, 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 very silly, and I'll tell you why. Number one was the obvious one where people were like, well, they should have just put Tifa in this game. Why is this guy here? Blah, blah, blah. He's a rapist and all this stuff. And I'm just like, okay. So, number one is that they already have a Final Fantasy rep in the game with Clive.
Unfortunately.
Yes, it could have been a better pick, but I believe because of this, we're not going to get another Final Fantasy character for quite a while, and I think that's fair because you already have representation of one. If you really want Tifa, then obviously the thing that we're going to talk about later is Street Fighter. That's the other way. You will be able to play as her in another fighting game. You may not like it, but at least another option is somewhere on the table for someone to take. And I think she'll probably be fun, but I'll reserve what I think later for that question. Then the other thing was like, oh, why do they have such a piece of shit villain in Tekken? And the first thing my brain was saying was, have you guys played Tekken? Because we have literal genociders, we have people throwing their sons down volcanoes, we have people doing foul shit in this series in the fictional stratosphere. Now, granted, when it comes to any sort of SA, I do think it is a topic where it's just like, I don't think they're gonna shoehorn in Yujiro's other history or whatever. They're definitely gonna downplay a good bulk of that for Tekken because, hey, T-rated game. But still, it's just like this is a world where villains, murderers, killers exist, and I just thought that going with the villain made more sense than just going with Baki, because I have some weird feeling that I don't think people would have been as excited. It would have been exciting, but not to this level where Yujiro's actually pulling up the player counts significantly. And I also saw Fakaram dressed like him, so there are people that are just excited to see their series represented. With all the other stuff aside, do I think he's a good pick for Tekken in general? I mean, from what I heard of this guy, and I know next to nothing, I know next to shit about Baki, so please do not kill me. This is something that I heard first hand, third hand, fourth hand. But people say he can copy other people's movesets. He could just do ridiculous like moves and damage to people and download them in real time, and he is going to be a monster with heat. I mean, it's already a given with several of the things that he can possibly do. I want to see a character with a plethora of moves that can do things and they look cool doing them, and I'm all for it. Hell, I'll even sweeten the deal. I'm all for them doing further anime reps because I believe that will draw a lot more eyes to Tekken in terms of season passes and guests, because there has been also the conversation of, well, how many interesting characters are going to be in certain season passes to keep the game alive with, retention, because a lot of people were saying that certain season passes are just not that great, or, oh, this is mid, this sucks, you need a character to shake up the action. And this was one that was needed. I remember originally people were thinking that it was going to be a completely new character. And I think it came off that way with the way it was written, but I am happy with this choice personally, and I cannot wait to play with him when he comes out and see what happens in the future. I think it's going to be some interesting times for Tekken next year. Next up is Kaneki. What do you think about Yujiro being in Tekken 8?
Well, obvious other than the answers that's already been given, I actually don't mind being Yujiro as the final Season 3 DLC character. I mean, it was either that or the supposed rumor of being like a new character, but in all honesty, I would have prefer a new character than if they was to eventually add in Marduk. as if he was the final character. I would have at that point I would have just not bought the season pass for Tekken, but the fact that it's still not Marduk and it's Yujiro of all people, I'm like, all right, I'll buy. And people don't have to know much about Yujiro and how he's going to be a menace to the Tekken roster. I mean, all you have to do is just look at that man's back. His back is literally a demon.
All right, next up is Alia. What do you think of Yujiro being added to Tekken 8?
Um,
I think,
Aaliyah has no comment because I don't like hockey.
well, you know what? That's a fair answer. That's completely fair. Next up is Mr. Andre. What do you think of Yujiro being added to Tekken 8?
Honestly, to be extremely honest, I'm fine with that. I'll be honest. Tekken in general is just really boring. Like Tekken 8 is probably it is a love-hate relationship. I like Tekken 8 and I dislike it. It's fun, but there are times I just feel better not playing it for like long periods of time. And Yujiro's inclusion really didn't surprise me. It's an extremely safe choice. I know a lot of like Baki fanboys are like jizzing their pants right now seeing Yujiro in the game. They're likely going to tone down a lot of the crazy shit he does by because yeah, Yujiro is well. Let's just say that dude is a sex offender, and that's all I'm really gonna say.
He
I
on the list.
oh yeah, I think the DLC characters minus maybe Armor King have been kind of lackluster for Tekken. I do have some excitement for Yujiro, but I don't know if he'll make let. I don't know if I'll stay with Tekken long term playing it with him. Like maybe I'll try him out for like a week or two, and if I like him, like yeah, sure, I'll probably keep playing it. But I don't expect to like main him though either, because like I said, I don't really like Ali. I really don't give a fuck about Baki. I'm sorry to all those Baki fans. It's not for me. Not for me.
I will say that for the future of anime reps, it's at least an exciting idea. But the thing is, oh, and I didn't see chat, so once again, forgive me. But the thing is that it's a lot more exciting than the notion of Marduk being the last character. I swear, if that was the case, I just would have been like, no, no, because I wouldn't have been as excited if they just threw in another routine Tekken character. I mean, Roger's fun. I'm sure he's gonna be fun. It was fun when we saw the footage of. I think like one of the characters just walked up and like punched him in the face, and it was from one of those kangaroo videos, where a dude punched a kangaroo in the face for holding his dog in a chokehold. But it's they need just something more enticing going forward with a lot of these character selections, and maybe anime is the route to go. That'd be pretty cool in the future. So that's how I feel about it. I can see people not being Baki fans or not being really excited, or people who are Baki fans that are just eating this up like no tomorrow. It's all fine. I just want to see the next pass obviously improve and become better with Tekken characters or new characters or guest characters. Speaking of new for another fighting game series, Street Fighter 6, we have year 4 that was revealed, and there is a lot of new characters in this pass. We have Yasmin, Arjun, Bosch, who was in the World Tour, finally being added as a character. I think he's gonna be the last character. Excuse me, he's gonna be the last character. And there is the guest character Tifa Lockhart from Final Fantasy VII. Also, Ingrid is out right now, and I want to ask people, do you have any final thoughts on her and these season 4 characters moving forward? I will start with Kaneki first.
Uh, I'm just gonna say this. I know a lot of people had a hot take when it comes to Tifa being in Street Fighter 6? I'm assuming that's the question. Yeah, Tifa being in the C4 of Street Fighter 6. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna be one of those that say Tekken has dropped the ball when it comes to the Final Fantasy representative. Clive is not a bad character whatsoever, but in terms of what you can do in the game like Tekken, he was not the right choice. If they was to make another Soul Calibur game, Clive would be the perfect choice. But Street Fighter, Capcom obviously picked the right representative as a term in terms of a Final Fantasy representative entering the game, and it's Tifa. My issue with this is why is she's one of the last characters. Now, don't get me wrong, I can understand why they would put her as one of the last characters to release because they wanna, they wanna promote and show off the new characters that's gonna be in the past, like Yasmin and Arjun. Maybe to some people Bosch, because if you have not played World Tour, then spoiler alert, Bosch is in World Tour. I'm guessing the fact that Bosch of all characters is last is like why? In terms of new characters, Bosch would be the only one in the past that people would be interested. Maybe Yasmin can change people's mind in terms of what they show off in her gameplay, but I don't see her being talked about in the long run after her release. Same goes for Arjun. If they would have released Tifa before or after Yasmin, then it wouldn't be that much bad of a battle pass. But I'm just not feeling it outside of Tifa and Bosch.
Red, it is your turn. How do you feel about either Ingrid or any of the Street Fighter 6 Year 4 characters?
I don't necessarily care for Yasmin, but props to the Philippines for getting their representative. That's awesome. I don't particularly care for Arjun because he's just another Indian yoga practitioner. Even if he's not going to have stretchy legs, I doubt I'm going to be impressed that much. It's cool to have Bosch playable, but you have to. Your priority one should be setting him as far apart from Luke as possible. Maybe you can give him I don't know if the avatar has enough unique moves to justify a Bosch, so you kind of have to start from square one with him. But oh my god. Capcom paid up where Namco did not. And I know that's not fair because in reality, the big cheese of Square, director Naoki Hamaguchi, lovable little guy, said that we're not just going to give someone like Tifa Lockhart away like she's a cheap carnival prize. Square only wants to make sure to only allow the usage of their Final Fantasy characters when the timing felt right. And considering they have Revelation coming out next year, and I have a feeling Tifa being added to Street Fighter 6 will certainly coincide with that release window, it's about time. Plus, Street Fighter 6 being home to the, let's face it, no arguments please, 3 hottest women in video games, Chun-Li, Mai, and Tifa, is a crazy statistic that I don't believe will ever be recreated in this lifetime. So, let's just cherish this moment while it's here rather than have everyone wonder what's taking the likes of Makoto and Sakura so long to get added to this game.
Oh, they'll cherish it, all right, with those 3 characters.
Alright, I'm gonna go next on this. I'll just detail everything I've seen and experienced so far. I'm gonna go with Year 4 first before I talk a tiny bit about Ingrid. A lot of this pass. Okay, so Yasmin looks cool with the fact that she has the knives and, cutting people up and just doing all these crazy moves and combos. It looks nice. She's one of the ones that maybe I will pick up down the road for new characters. I think people's main issue with this pass is, it's too many new characters, not enough returning characters, not enough guests. And I guess maybe you would have a point if they had like one returning, then two new, then one guest. That would sort of siphon it pretty well. I know many people were like, where the fuck is Vega? I was just thinking, and there was a certain
I was one of them.
leak, if you will. I'm not gonna talk about it here, of a character from another fighting game franchise, and it involves the color blue, and I'm just mad that character is not in this pass whatsoever. That would have blew people's minds if him and Tifa would have been in the past in general. But that being said, Bosch, I'm not shocked about Bosch like other people kind of are. I just figured that they would add someone that was a World Tour exclusive character, introduced into the Street Fighter 6 storyline. It was a given that Bosch would get an introduction somewhere, and I was waiting for it. And I guess this is now the time to drop it, and it makes sense if you're gonna have all these new characters, and I mean, you got to have Bosch in there somewhere. So he's an exciting one. I can't wait to play with him. Arjun, I don't care about. He just looks like another big body character. And if you have known me in the server or on this podcast, I really don't like big body characters at all. I'm not a fan of Abigail. I'm not a fan of Zangief. I do not like fighting these people. I don't like T-Hawk either. I'm gonna be that guy today. I do not like these characters because I feel like every time they just wait, and they have a certain move that will stuff you, and then you'll take tons of damage in the process. I feel the same for what the fuck is his name? The big guy from Street Fighter 3 with the pink on. I don't like him either. So
Hugo.
yeah, Hugo. I don't like him either. So I'm just not a fan of big body characters in Street Fighter. I'm sure someone will love them. I'm sure Hades himself, he will love these characters. I am just not a fan of them. And Tifa's a given. She is a natural born classic. Final Fantasy. This is the marquee guest character. It's like Rad said. Capcom coughed up the money, whereas Square was like, all right, we'll give you this. And for Namco's sake, it was just like, you'll take 5 and that's it. I did seriously believe at one point that the leaks were true and she was going to be in Tekken instead. I was kind of thinking that for like a second. I was like, yeah, maybe she might show up in this pass and she'll be the final character. But no, they did a swerve on me. And I was just like, yeah. And then they said Tifa for Street Fighter. At first, I just didn't believe it. But then I'm like, okay, I would like to see how she works. They talked about how she's going to have materia centered in the combat, and they're going to take special care of the character. So I thoroughly am very excited the most to see her gameplay and how it operates. And I think it's going to be Rush Down Heaven, which is personally one of my favorite styles to do in Street Fighter. As for Ingrid, I don't have much to say other than two things. Number one is that I just remember when she came out and it was Gooner Mania on the timeline. There were people that were like literally just feasting on the littlest bit of Ingrid pictures they could find, getting off to the countdown, everything. I just thought it was funny. It's just like, what the fuck is going on? And the other thing was her playstyle. I'm very curious to play with her, but people were just kind of saying, she's super zoner, super keep away until you build your meter, your magic, and then you do devastating attacks. And then eventually the meta was like, as soon as she got figured out, she got filtered out. And it just reminded me of another example where Reina in Tekken 8, she was top dog for a while, really, really dominating the ranks. And then when she was getting downloaded, people were figuring her out. It went down and down and down in terms of her character and utilization. And it feels like the same thing happened to Ingrid. And I don't want to get into a situation where I pick a character and it's not an all-arounder and I hate it because I have no other utility because they finally figured this character out. That's the one thing that I'm dreading, but I'll give it a shot sometime later on in the future and see how it goes when a new character comes out and people got to deal with that. Or I just switch to that character instead, or switch to Tifa. Overall, it's this whole rollout it's okay. Could be better. It could be a little bit more exciting. I think the future is bright when that guest character comes out, and I don't know. I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens. That's sort of where I'm sitting right now. Alia, how about you? What do you think of the Street Fighter Pass and Ingrid so far?
So, from a character design perspective, as somebody who's done characters, I really like Yasmin's design. I won't lie. I like the little touches of her hair and stuff, like how it has two different modes. I like that they tied in the flag on her outfit, but it also looks like traditional wear, but it's like not too in your face about it. I do like that. Bosch, we've already talked about lots. Arjun looks like a Reddit moderator. That's all I'll say on that. And yeah, Tifa it's a nice addition. It's her first fighting game appearance since Urgeist, which is cool. It took almost 30 years, but now she's in a fighting game again. And so I'm curious how that's going to turn out. I wonder how they're going to handle like costumes because Street Fighter loves to do costumes. I don't know if they'll add anything for Tifa. Uh, I know for the Clive situation, it was one of those things where Namco reached out to Square Enix, and because the directors were friends, they did it as like a favor thing, not money. They said in the live stream thing that they did years ago. Um, but yeah, I imagine Tifa was a character Square Enix was like, no, I don't care how close friends you are. Like you gotta pay up for Tifa. Tifa is our money maker, you know. Anytime she appears in anything, whether it's a mobile game, whether it's a gacha game, which sometimes is a mobile game, but you know what I'm saying. Anytime it is generated millions of dollars. So of course they would expect, people to pay up. I do think the designs look nice. I like the watercolor thing that's going on in the promotional material. I really do. I love watercolors, so I'm a little biased. But yeah, I am also not excited for Arjun. I haven't played Street Fighter 6 yet still, because like I haven't gotten it yet. But like I would not want to play against Arjun either. Arjun looks like I'd just get bored. And be like, okay, I'm losing now. Whee!
Yeah. Ah, man.
Andre, it is your turn. What do you think of the Street Fighter 6 Year 4 characters and Ingrid, if you have any opinions?
I played Ingrid a bit. I actually want to try to like learn her because I actually do really like her playstyle. So Ingrid, I'll be honest, Ingrid feels like an Arc System Works character more than a Street Fighter character with the amount of crazy shit she can do with the laser beams and stuff like that. I do really like her. As for the season for characters, so in terms of who I'm the most hyped for and the least hyped for, I'll go with least. Arjun looks boring as hell. Moving on. he just looks really boring. Bosch, I'm interested in Bosch. I do really want to see how they develop his playstyle. I'm glad he finally joined the game. I was like, because I thought to myself, wonder that this dude gonna join, considering he was like an NPC in World Tour. I maybe, but it's like a wait and see because we don't really know his playstyle is. As for Yasmin looks really cool. Like I'm really sold on Yasmin. She looks awesome. I do really like how the Street Fighter team actually took a lot of time to incorporate like a lot of Filipino aspects in her design, namely her fight style, just Eskrima, which that's kind of explains why she has that knife. I also do like how when Yasmin's hair falls down, her personality changes. Like she's a sweet moe girl, but in combat and her hair's up. Well, yeah, she is fierce, but she's really cool. I'm definitely looking forward to getting her ass for Tifa. Well, I mean, it's Tifa. Look, Tifa's inclusion is just, I think it's perfect. And like Rad said, the fact she's in the same game as Chun-Li and Mai, aka two of the most iconic female fighting game characters, is just cherry on top of the cake. And I'm actually really hyped for Tifa. I really want to see how she plays, and I think in terms of costumes, we're probably I I think it would be kind of funny if they get like one of her dresses from remake. That'd be kind of neat. But overall, I'm really excited though for. But overall, I'm pretty looking forward to season 4. Yeah, I don't know if I'll get the season pass on launch. I'll probably wait a while, but other than that, I'm really excited. No complaints from me.
Alrighty, we're moving on to the next question. That's question number 5. Avatar Legends. Avatar Legends had a rocky launch with some missing online features, platform-specific issues, and other development controversies. What are your thoughts on its launch, and do you think the game can recover? And we will go with Kaneki first.
I feel like they have a chance to make the game. They can mostly recover the game's reputation. If not for the fact that they have some, if they're not willing to fix some of the controversies, like I get that they missed out on the Xbox release, or they had to delay it because of something went wrong behind the scenes, but the Switch people didn't get a very high performance experience when the game launched for that specific platform. They would have to wait an extra day or two just to get the right performance of at least a consistent 60 frames just to play the game properly on the Switch. I don't know what was the decision to think, hey, maybe people will not realize that we don't have lobbies or ranked at launch. Maybe they were more likely rushed, or maybe they didn't have enough time for to put the basic features onto the game. But I think it's very possible for them to really recover. It's just the question is, are they willing to commit?
I guess it's my turn. I'm just gonna touch on this briefly. Yeah, launching your game on other platforms and then sort of telling everyone we made a whoopsie. You won't be getting your version until a little bit later due to unforeseen problems. That just seems like some shit they should have, got resolved while they were developing the game. I know issues happen, but this is a pretty substantial launch, and if you're going to delay the other side of the game for consumers for literally, I think the delay is till September, and you're already delaying the game into a packed month anyway, it's gonna be a uphill battle for the Xbox people regardless, because mostly everyone's gonna be playing other games at this rate. First impressions are everlasting, and this just screams amateur hour a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. Now, I've seen the gameplay. I've enjoyed what I've seen. Although, granted, I have a feeling this is gonna be one of those situations where you play it and then you start to realize how insanely quick and super competitive it will be, and then maybe it's gonna not be for certain people, and then they end up dropping it about a week. That being said, it's cool. It looks awesome. Maybe I'll get it down the line, but until they start to shape up some of their issues with, console specific things, and since I am mostly on Xbox, that's a big problem for me. I could get it on PlayStation, but my PlayStation is running out of space, and therefore the only thing I have space left on is my Xbox. Therefore, in my situation, I would have to wait. Yeah, it's just overall not good. But I think the game can recover. They just have to put in the work, commitment, and effort to do so and make it happen. What about you, Rad? What do you think of the situation with Avatar Legends?
Uh, I don't really have too much to say about the game because it kind of showed up at a really bad time for me to purchase it. And also, it's been a minute since I've even really thought about Avatar. I will say the one positive thing is that they had the good sense to confirm that Ty Lee is going to be a DLC character. So, yes, I'm looking forward to all the meter disabling shenanigans that are going to come with that character, as well as her eventual summer outfit that is so obviously on the horizon if this team is on point as they seem to be. So I was all ready to purchase this game in the future, much like I waited for Beatrix to be in Grand Blue Rising, and they confirmed that Mike C was on the development team. And this wasn't disclosed to people who were commissioned worked for the game and might want to be aware of his presence to make an informed decision on whether or not to give this game the time of day. And there went any ambition I had for even giving the game a second look. It's like over time, Mike Z has just been a toxic entity to work with or even interact with. The sexual harassment, the workplace misconduct, the poorly placed George Floyd joke a week after it happened. The fact that any publisher continues to give this creep the time of day is ignorance of the highest magnitude, and it shows me that things like sexual harassment aren't enough to get someone blackballed from the industry anymore. Good job, guys. Good job.
I was looking this up on Reddit really quickly, and this is fucking terrible. This guy is an asshole. Holy shit. I saw Technicals talk about it. I saw posts about it, and people were like, Riot Games are not doing anything. Imagine my shock, which, former Riot Games dev is just doing a bunch of bad shit. In other places. It's just very disappointing PR for a series that is trying to get back on its feet after, well, the fiasco of the movie leaking out, the animated movie that was going to come out a little bit later, but now it's come out sooner. Yeah, I just don't think it's a really good look in general, and I see why people are kind of side-eyeing and thinking about other decisions. There's one
Sidebar.
yeah, there's one question I wanted to
Sidebar.
ask you, Rad, really quickly before you sidebar. How do you feel about the idea of voting for DLC characters?
I think it's a good decision. I think that if you vote for the popular character, people are going to want to get the popular character. And I see that Amon and Asami are going to fight to the death for that right. And I'm sure both of them have their subsets. You get the Edgelord and you get the you get the gay demographic because shippers are some wild people, let me tell you. But either of those two characters will push product. I'm just glad they're even considered for DLC at all. But general sidebar, this continues the idea that the Avatar franchise is just fucking cursed. Like the final season of the original TV series getting bopped around time slot after time slot, the train wreck that was the planning out the final season of Korra and where to air it, the god awful movie, all the reboots. I'm not familiar with what the next project is going to be and how well that's going, but it doesn't sound too good for Avatar.
Wait,
All right.
I would like to object something. There's a new Korra trailer isn't she evil now?
I am so far beyond Avatar at this point.
I think she is. All I know about the new Avatar
Like,
show is
Jesus Christ.
Korra apparently fucked up the world so badly that the new Avatar has to basically clean up her mess.
Yeah, this IP is cooked.
It's like, oh my god. Uh,
Well, Andre, what do you think about this with Avatar Legends?
oh, as for Avatar Legends. In the same boat as Rad, I liked Avatar a lot as a kid growing up, but I'll be honest, I haven't watched the show in like probably a decade, so I was just so out of it, and when I heard they were doing a game, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, and I've seen my friends talk about it, like they were hyping the fuck out of the game, and I remember in the PlayStation where I was like watching the game, I was like, I feel like this game probably would have like worked better if it came out in the 2010s instead of like the 2020s, because I don't know, man. I'm just not feeling it. I mean, I guess it's cool Avatar fans get their own fighting game, and I'm seeing a lot of the crazy shit they can do. I do think it's kind of neat that they have characters like Kyoshi and Zahir in the roster. That's pretty. But other than that, as for the game, I think it'll be fine. I think I can see it lasting maybe a year or two, because far as I've seen, the team isn't really super huge, so it depends on how things go. And I don't really see this game at like, I mean, I can kind of see this game at other CEOs, but I don't think it's gonna be long term. It'll probably last maybe a year in the competitive circuit, and people just move on. But other than that, not really too interested in Avatar Legends. Just I think hearing all the Mike Z shit turned me off of it completely. I was like, oh, that guy. So yeah, I guess I'll be avoiding it. But that's really all I gotta say about that game.
Alia, what about you? Do you have any opinions on Avatar Legends?
Alright, so I'm going to start with the fact that Paramount's going through a merger right now. They're trying to rush out games based on their properties as soon as possible, so they have to have less people sign off on it. The Netflix thingy, arguing over Warner Brothers and all that. Because say they merge, what's going to happen is their games division is going to merge with WB's games division, all that mess. As far as like the Mike Z thing, so he's in the official Discord for the beta. Even they were stupid enough to add him and have him use his full real name as his username on Discord. I think it was handled very poorly. I will say the studio that did the Avatar game is a work for hire studio, so I don't know how many of you know how this works who are listening to this. But usually what happens, this happens with the PS1 classics and PS2 classics that are being released on PS5 now. What happens is they go to the studio, or they shop around to studios to see who will do the job for the least amount of money. As far as what happens usually in situations like this, where they're rushing to get something out before they merge with another company, so they end up with like licensing complications and stuff, because then there's more executives to sign off on bullshit. What they usually do is they'll just hire whoever is willing to do it for the least amount of money, regardless of how poorly employees are treated. This is also a studio that's not exactly known for anything, so it adds to that situation where they probably took it for the least amount of money that they could do, and they're probably running on a very bare bones staff. So, say this guy comes in, he has a very negative reputation, but he's willing to work for a little bit less than usual because of his bad reputation, because he's been trying to rebuild. This is what happened with the last game he did 3 years ago, which is a fighting game which also went down in the shits and completely died off. Is they hired him on for bare bones so he can try to rebuild his reputation. Basically, it's one of those situations where everything concocted as a really big pile of dog shit that wasn't a great pile of dog shit. And yes, Diesel Legacy. I was trying not to call it out by name because they are a little grumpy when they get mentioned. But yes, basically, this is not too surprising, especially as someone who was in the Skullgirls community for a long time. I also like just on the back end of the industry stuff and having friends who work for developers and stuff. I'm not surprised by any of this, honestly. When a merger is happening and there's like all those, you know, corporate politics pissing matches going on, it's not too surprising that they choose a studio that has no morals because they can't afford to have morals right now, basically. Like they need the job to build the reputation. They're an indie developer. They're trying to work on this game for Paramount because Paramount has all these licenses. If they do good on this, then they get to go do this. That type of thing, stepping stones. So I'm not too surprised with how it turned out. I hope they can fix it. But also at the same time, I feel like this might be one of those situations where we see it in 2 years being like Marvel Heroes, where it has fan run servers and fans data mine anything that was supposed to be released and release it to play for free. And just, the devs close shop and fuck off, basically.
Sad story all around. And I guess if you think about WB things that got closed down, multiverses would be one of those things, right in the graveyard, in the ground, and fans revive that, and that's just a situational thing. Which fuck WB for that, but I digress. Anyway, we're moving on to the next question, and that is Virtua Fighter Crossroads. They recently showcased and extended, I think it was a Virtua Fighter stream, where they showed gameplay. They featured some of the combat mechanics, the seamless battle transitions, and the story mode, where I thought it was cool, where you could fight one guy and then immediately go to the next one, and it's sort of like a free flow, but with the fighting game mechanics intact. What did you guys think of this? If you saw it, what stood out to you the most, and how are you feeling about the game's direction and where RGG is taking it, especially since this is going to be M-rated, apparently? First, we have Rad to talk about this.
I don't really have too much to say about the gameplay because I don't really think a lot of it kind of popped for me. What stood out to me more than the gameplay once news of this game's resurfacing started coming out was the story mode. Because it honestly felt like an old fashioned Yakuza game with action set pieces and some fights on occasion. And obviously, this is why the new Virtua Fighter took so long to manifest. Because Sega saw what Capcom had to do with Street Fighter 6 to make it a game that rivals Street Fighter 2 in the sales department and said, "Me too." I'm generally excited for the story more than I am the general fighting. I have a feeling I'm gonna hate these new characters. I have a feeling the only reason I'm gonna stick around with the story mode is to see it's that guy and it's that girl, like any other kind of revival of an old IP for the new generation. But it should be a fun ride at least. Uh, I'm really looking to be surprised by the gameplay because it really seems like the team at Virtua Fighter truly want to reinvent the fighting game wheel. And I really do wish them the best of luck in that regard.
Kaneki, it is your turn. What do you think of the Crossroads story and gameplay presentation?
I do appreciate that they flesh out what is potentially going to be the biggest story mode in Virtua Fighter's, history. Because imagine implementing the same story mode like they did for Yakuza and put it into a fighting game like Virtua Fighter. That's gonna go crazy in terms of lore. What happened after all these years of Virtua Fighter, especially after Virtua Fighter 5. Like we may find out what happened with each characters. I'm more excited about that than towards the gameplay. While they did show the best of their ability to how the game plays in end-game engine, it wasn't enough to make me think how I feel about the gameplay. They need to show like actual people playing the game and do like multiple how would say like a test stream just to show off the full extent of the gameplay.
Well, it is my turn. Yeah, it's it's the thing of they show quite a couple of moves, a couple of things that we still are questioning, a couple of things we talked about from the last couple of podcasts, where you literally have this critical hit, and we're still wondering what's that's all about. Still no health bars presented as people are hit by that, and how that's going to be incorporated into combat, and hoping that is not a super based attack. Otherwise, I'm going to be angry with the wrath of God uh coming out of my body like some sort of horror movie. It's a couple of things that still needs to be locked down and explained. I think they need a Virtua Fighter stream where when they focus on the battle mechanics, that's all they have to talk about, and they can go into detail with how everything works between characters and showing more characters, because I just think the only people that were fighting were the new characters Cielo, then Pi, and then Wolf. I kind of just want to see more of the Virtua Fighter characters in action, especially with the veterans. And we did get a glimpse of a new character with some skull toes that is a female. It's a lot of interesting teases, but I just personally want to see them include the older people back into the mix. As for the um story itself, I'm glad that it's taking itself more seriously. And it's cool that you are doing seamless fights. They're not trying the whole thing that fighting games like to do, where they create a completely different system for the story mode, and it just feels a little bit alien. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. In cases where it doesn't work, I'm gonna straight up say it. Tekken 5, The Devil Within, because, well, I hate that minigame a little bit. But that was a case of, hey, we're gonna make this beat 'em up into the fighting game. We don't use the fighting game mechanics in order to do things in the fighting game. Therefore, it felt like two different things entirely. For this one, it's just like you knock a dude out, you just go the fuck to the next one, and the camera switches really quickly. It's very snappy. I thought it was gonna be a lot more cumbersome, but the devs were saying that was one of the things they worked really hard on, is those multiple fights that you can get into and knock people down and just sort of keep the flow going, which is cool. I'm glad that it's once again, it seems like it has intrigue behind it, which is going to move to the second question of Virtua Fighter Crossroads. Then they're keeping some things a mystery, and I just really love that Steam. David Hayter's writing this. I love this work since X-Men. I love this work on Solid Snake. I believe that they do have a banger on their hands, and it's just like Kaneki said, they're trying to present the whole Yakuza crime thing into Virtua Fighter, and I'm all for it, because those are usually like really told super well. And I just have nothing but high praise for that in particular. Alia, it is your turn. What do you think of Virtua Fighter Crossroads?
I'm happy Virtual Fighter is kind of getting back on track. I feel like, and as much as people crap on Dead or Alive, which we'll get into later, them having so many crossover characters in DOA 5 really helped revitalize people's interest in Virtua Fighter a lot. Because they were releasing deluxe versions of Virtua Fighter games, but they weren't doing as well as Virtua Fighter used to do. And I feel like seeing a lot of like the characters just dumped into DOA suddenly really expanded the fan base, especially with DOA 5 being free play for the most part on PS3 and PS4, and then people would buy the characters as they could afford them, especially a lot of teenagers and stuff and college kids, because DOA for 5 and 6 provided that option. I feel like well, 5 on PS4 and PS3. I'm having a brain fart because DOA 6 was also on PS4. But yeah, I feel like being in DOA last round, 5 last round, was really helpful for that. And I'm really happy to see characters getting a lot of love that I enjoyed for a long time, but nobody would know what Virtua Fighter was. And now you see hundreds of thousands of people hyped in the comments going, "Yeah, Virtua Fighter," and it's cool. I'll just leave it at that. It's cool. It looks nice. Virtua Fighter usually looks nice. You know, Virtua Fighter was the origin of 3D fighters, really. So I'm really hopeful that it turns out as well as it's looking like it's going to.
And it seems like the first one that could be really mainstream. I think somebody pointed out that this is going to be the first like Virtual Fighter Super simultaneous release multi-plat on different consoles. I think this game has a well-rounded chance of being successful. Andre, it is your turn. What do you think of the footage for Virtual Fighter 6?
Very excited. I can't really judge on the gameplay, but I can judge on the 6, and it looks really beautiful. From what I heard, this game runs on the UE5, and it looks incredible. I definitely really like the attention to detail, especially the vibe I'm getting Virtua Fighter Crossroads. It honestly reminds me of Tekken 4. I have no idea why, but it definitely reminds me of Tekken 4. Just really how more urban it is. And also the fact that David Hayter is actually writing the story is pretty cool. And I think one thing I do really want to know is like, I'm really curious on how the roster is going to be, considering the game allegedly is going to have like 16 characters. So I do wonder if like they're going to announce more characters this year, because right now I think we got like maybe 5 characters revealed. So I'm definitely excited for Crossroads. Definitely a game it's on my radar.
We're going to move on to the next question, which is another Crossroads question, but this is about the characters. And in particular, they showed another trailer at Evo about the Bakanawa Killer. And he's this mysterious fighter. He is someone who uses this tiger claw kung fu, doing all these badass martial arts moves. Pi noticed him in the trailer, but we don't have much information other than the fact that he's an assassin killing people, and it looks really cool. What do you think of this trailer with the Bakanawa Killer, and do you have any theories on who he could be? And any other new characters that might have caught your attention with the 4 playable fighters and Crossroads, and we will go with Andre first.
Oh well, okay. Okay, I have a weird theory, and bear with me. I think the Bakanawa Killer, I think it's one of Lei Fei's disciples, because in the Virtua Fighter lore, Lei Fei, if I remember at one point, had like a grudge against Pai Chan's father, Lao Chan. So my best guess is I think Lao Chan's dead. So in a way, Lei Fei essentially kind of became like a teacher, like a good teacher, and he decided, hey, well, I'll just have this disciple and I'll teach him a mix of my style, but also was a Lao Chan style. And considering the Bakanawa Killer was fighting Pai Chan, and her sort of like how surprised she was when his mask broke off, which I think he's definitely gonna have like some huge connection. And overall, I really like I love his design play style. He just looks really badass and cool. That's really the roster of the. That's for like the. It's for like the new characters that caught my attention. I like Cielo. I guess he's pretty cool. He kind of reminds me of Luke, just maybe less cringe. I can't say really much on Cell. I think it's just way too early, but I genuinely think Cell is probably a clone of Sarah, or I really don't know. But this is really all I gotta say about the new characters. But overall, yeah, I'm interested to see how it's gonna fare. I think this game is gonna come out probably maybe summer 2027. I don't think it's gonna take too long for this game to come out. So yeah, we'll see by then.
Alia, it is your turn. Do you have anything to say about the Bakanawa Killer, on who it could be, and is there any new character they introduced that surprised you a little bit?
Honestly, I don't really have any comments other than I'm here for the ride. I don't like I've been like this before. Like I'm weird about like Unless it's like a DLC character, I'm really weird about speculating because, like, I want to see where the devs take the story. Sure, it could be disappointing, but I like when they try new stuff. Because Sega has gotten a little. They've been trying some new stuff the last couple years, but like they do tend to stick to a formula. If we learned anything with like Sonic the Hedgehog in the mid 2000s, and
Or
then you know,
Yakuza itself.
yeah, yeah. So I just want to see where they go with it.
I guess it's my turn, and I can go on this one. I'll start with the new characters first, since I don't really have too much to say. But Cielo just okay. How can I be fair about this? He just looks like your standard, bog standard new protagonist that you would expect. Like, I remember seeing him leaked, and I still thought he looked pretty standardized for the most part. As for the other, I think this other secretary lady with the black hair that you see, she's wearing like the green highlights. She looks like she could be a fun character, as well as the African American character that you see with the glasses and the briefcase, and he's kind of like a tech enthusiast almost. He might have a very interesting fighting style, especially I would like to see someone incorporate like weapons and items into the mix in order to fight someone with. That would be pretty cool. And then there's Sarah Bryant 2.0, which is probably her daughter. I think that for the most part, it's been what everyone else has been saying. Is just simply a Sarah reskin, but not the real Sarah, unless they've changed her fighting style completely and they're gonna add her in as a character down the road or DLC, which DLC may be the case for this. And that's all I have to say. They really have to show their stride in the story for me to really say anything else, as well as their fighting style being, good. As for who the Bakanawa killer is, I seen people speculate on three things. He looks fucking sick. What he was doing in that trailer is absolutely sick. But people speculated it was Leifei, which he's the first runner-up. He apparently tried to kill Pai-chan, steal his martial art. Maybe when he has the mask knocked off and Pai, sees him. I mean, Lao Chan, I'm sorry. He tried to kill Lao Chan, and maybe because Pai sees him, she recognizes, oh shit, you killed my dad. It can't be. I thought you were dead, or something to that effect. And I was reading a thread on what are they gonna do with characters that are obviously very old now, like Lao Chan, like Sean D. And the only thing you can do is either do some hijinks or shenanigans, or replace them with people who've stolen their movesets, and that's the only thing you can do. There was the other far-fetched theory that maybe it's a clone of Lao Chan, which, I mean, there was Judgment 6, they were doing clones. Even if RGG said they're not going to go down that route, they could always be lying through their teeth 100%. Therefore, you have to take it as a theory and a possibility. And the last one I heard is that someone said this was Lon D from Shenmue, and I was like, nah, I don't believe it. Even though it is weird that they both have the Tiger Claw fighting style, and I guess if you want to do something, but I just don't see them crossing over another Sega character into an already big established story. But if they do that, that would be absolutely insane. I would love it, but I don't see it happening. And that's the speculations there. Other than that, we don't know much, but he's a monster. I can't wait to play this character. But all will be revealed when the game comes out, because they're not gonna reveal who this character is until then. Rad, what do you think about the Bakanawa killer stuff and some of the new characters they're introducing into Crossroads?
I'm just gonna focus directly on the Bakanawa killer. Put me down for Team Londi. there's going to be some ridiculous revisions and retcons that I've been thinking about for the past month. Because I know people are assuming this is Life A. I mean, guys, when is the last time Life A had a full head of hair? Plus, if I remember correctly, Lon D already practices Koen Ken. So maybe there could be some type of untold rivalry or past friendships between him and Pi. Perhaps they knew each other back in the 1980s when Pi was a kid and when Londi totally trained under Lao before Londi went all father killer around Shenmue time. Like maybe Londi learned the arts from Lao to take down Ryo's father as because vengeance, you see. Like maybe Londi disappeared from public view for a long time, so it's a shock to the system for Pi to see him again after all this time. It's like, how is this possible? I thought you were dead. Or it could just be some random new character added to the Virtua Fighter lore, and he has some past relation to Cielo, and then all the hype evaporates. I will say I do want to know more about Stella and why she is wearing Sarah's outfit in the demo, and what relation does she have to Sarah? Who? There's no easy way to say this. I'm so sorry. Who was the lucky man who got the down down motion from Sarah to make Stella possible? I have questions that command to be answered, and I know Virtua Fighter's romantic intentions are about as well versed as Resident Evil's romantic intentions. So maybe we'll get nothing. Maybe it'll just be Londi, and it will be a shocking reveal. But I don't know. I'm looking forward to it being revealed sometime before the game's release because that's how this works.
It was totally Xavier Woods. It was Xavier Woods 100%. No, I'm kidding.
Yes.
Up, down, down.
Neki, what do you think of the Bakanawa killer so far?
Well, there's a lot of speculation going on with that character. Me personally, if they want to be all stupid and just do the most random shit of the Bakanawa killer, I wanted to do the stupidest reveal and just reveal behind the mask. It's fucking Go for no reason. That would be the most troll reveal of all time. But I am curious about that character more so than sometimes the news story they're doing, because I want to know who's behind that mask more than anything.
That was also a theory as well. People are saying it's Go, but he has like a completely new fighting style and probably stole Koen Ken from someone else, which would be that'd be bad shit too. But my hope is that it's Londi. If it is, that would be the craziest fucking reveal to me personally. We're gonna be moving on to the next question, which is about City of Wolves. Kenshiro is finally out, and I'm wondering if people has played as him, and then they also revealed their sort of next season pass, which has Rick Stroud, Duck King, Ken Capuan, and 2 mystery fighters. If you play Kenshiro, what do you think of him, and how do you feel about the season 3 lineup? Rad, you will be first.
I know I said I sold off my physical copy last year, but I will admit, I did come back to Fatal Fury due to it presenting the strongest value when all the big fighting game sales were going on around Evo time. I mean, base game plus the 2 seasons worth of characters for $30 is really hard to turn down. I will admit, I didn't play much of Kenshiro, so I can't comment, and I'm still not keen on the game at large, mostly because I find it to be an incredibly boring and overall sauceless version of Street Fighter 6. But the fact that SNK is trying their darndest to make sure as many of the Fatal Fury casts, the popular and the not so popular ones, are revived in some form is a really nice gesture for longtime fans, even if that means including fucking Laucorn Godimus from the Fatal Fury movie. which is probably a favor to Masami Obari. It's like, yeah, I'll do some animations for you guys, but you got to put in my boy. Much like how Abari like blackmailed SNK for, yeah, I'll do a movie for you guys, but you got to spot me in Neo Geo for free. Back to SNK. Uh, they, for the most part, did the same thing of getting every character they can back when they revived Samurai Showdown back in 2019. So who's to say they can't go long for the cast of Fatal Fury? And if this means I get to see them bring back guys like Big Bear and Axel Hawk, or if they want to go really deep, Alfred. Boy, Alfred would look really good in a modern fighting game. I think the modern audience would absolutely gel with him. So yeah, this is starting to look like the producer's ambition is starting to become reality, and I'm all for it. I don't have any big thoughts on the two mystery characters. I feel like the general hope is that it could be another Art of Fighting character, like maybe Yuri Sakazaki, to tie into future projects that we're going to discuss. And the second mystery character is probably going to be another anime guy. May I suggest Ippo from Hajime no Ippo? If you don't want to do another boxer. If you don't want to bring back, like, Axel or Franco Bash, you could do Ippo. Alright, that's really all I have to say about this matter.
Alright, I guess it's my turn. I still don't have Kenshiro yet. I just been sort of listening to our action combat games Discord chat in here, and Lords of Geek about people sort of picking him up and saying that his neutrals are not the greatest, but he's still a bit fun to play with. That would be the character that I would pick up and play with the most if I get this game. But overall, it's still on sale constantly. I want to just wait until these two mystery characters are shown before jumping any gun. But I will say that there is someone in this past that I like, and that is Kim Kapawan. I remember playing with him a lot in some of the older KOF games and just having a good time, doing the dive kick and whatnot. I'm sure JoJo's also going to be really, really happy seeing this character again. And it's just cool. It's a good time. I really like his style of fighting and his cartwheel kicks. It's always fun to watch on display. But other than that, speculation for the mystery characters, I'm going to assume one of them is going to be a returning SNK character, and then the other is going to be a completely new guest character, which I'm assuming just add some cool anime guy in there, and that'll do the trick, with enough clout or whatever. Who would I like to personally see? Yusuke Urameshi. I would like to see him done in this game, and I believe that you can not only have the cool hand-to-hand stuff, but you can also do spirit gun, all that, the Makai transformation, beat the shit out of someone, and that would get people kind of excited. I would enjoy that very much. So that's my selection for a mystery character if they decide to go all the way and do something like that. Next up is Kaneki. What do you think of the City of Wolves characters and Kenshiro?
Outside of neutral, Kenshiro is really fun to use and to learn from, because the moment you start to use his combos, you really feel like you're playing, or you're watching like another episode of Fist of the North Star. And for the characters revealed for season 3, outside of the two mystery characters, I think this is the best decision they have done so far of this season, compared to, let's say, even when the game launched, with two guest characters no one fucking wanted or asked. Especially considering we don't want to, don't want to beat a dead horse, but one of them is a mid-rapist. But anyways, Rick Stroud is a good choice, but I don't main him or play him in the older games, so really not that excited for him. But I'm glad he's included. Duck King is the one I'm waiting for the most. Is whenever he drops, it's more likely when I'll get the pass. Kim Kafwan, I'm glad he's there because if you have not known, his two other sons were in this game. So the fact that they also included their father himself, the one and only, it's really it's really gonna have a good time if you're a fan of Kim and his sons. For the last character, is the last character like a guest character they say, or
It's a
It's
mystery.
two
A complete
mysteries.
mystery.
Yep.
okay, if one of them will be a guest character, I don't know who I want as a guest character other than maybe someone that would fit in the realm of Fatal Fury, like Kenshiro somehow did, for example.
All right, Andre, it is your turn. What do you think of the three new characters and the idea of the two mystery characters in the season 3 pass for City of Wolves? And do you have any thoughts and opinions on Kenshiro?
I don't own the game. I don't own City of the Wolves, but Kenshiro joining the roster is pretty cool. I do think it's awesome to see Kim Kapwan come back, though. This Kim is a really cool KOF character, and I'm happy. Well, Art of Fighting, technically, well, same universe, but definitely a really cool character. I don't know if I'll ever play City of the Wolves. I mean, I played the beta and thought it was alright, but huge W, but yeah, huge W for the fans. And that's all I gotta say.
Alia, do you have any opinions on the City of Wolves additional characters for season 3 and Kenshiro?
Not really. I'm still kind of salty about the whole thing, so not really.
Well, it is SNK Saudi blood money, so I absolutely don't blame you.
Wait,
Yeah.
speaking of Saudis, mind if I interject for one moment?
Go ahead.
Now that we're talking about Saudi money, how do you feel about them being dropped by Games Done Quick?
What you mean,
I don't know.
SNK?
Could we
Yes.
not?
I
Alright,
didn't know.
fine.
I didn't even know that.
I like this feels like a topic outside of our realm, and Games Done Quick being a bunch of fucking idiots that don't do their research and are clutching pearls, as is the Games Done Quick tradition.
All right, fair enough. But the next one was also something that sparked debate online because I saw a Twitter poster. I'm not gonna say the name, of course. But I saw them. They were complaining about, hey, SNK is doing all these characters in this season pass. They're giving you like literally 5 characters, and he was saying, why the fuck can't NetherRealm or Capcom or Namco do the same effect? They are literally charging you more for less, and that was his argument. And I'm curious to see what people's opinions is on what he said. Do you think that the traditional 4 character season pass has become outdated? Do you agree with him, or do you disagree for some reason? I would like to know your opinions, and I want Alia to go first.
Honestly, I feel like, yeah, that with how long they take between seasons now, I feel like more characters would be nice. However, at the same time, they also have to keep in mind like what details they want to keep on the characters, stuff like that. How detailed they want their designs to look if they're licensed characters, because if they do need lots of detail, you're gonna be forcing your workers into crunch. Uh, but as far as like setting a new standard for post-launch support, I'm 50-50 on that. I'm 50-50 on that. I feel like they're setting some standards that aren't so great, which we skirted over because we should. But I do feel like having more characters might be beneficial. I don't know how that's going to affect their staff if they keep increasing the number of characters. Because they also still have to do server maintenance, things like that. And so it just depends. It depends on how they manage it. You know what I mean?
Brad, what is your opinions on this?
I don't think the output's gonna last. Like, SNK's style of making games is much simpler to construct than others. That's why the King of Fighters 15 has over 50 characters in it. So I don't think this comes down to SNK loving you more than those other lazy developers who can only put out 4 measly characters a year. Once upon a time, Street Fighter V also put out 6 characters a year, and their arcade story modes suffered incredibly because they really only had one artist working on them. Anywho, SNK's path is absolutely more straightforward, easier, and quicker to develop for. So I feel like this is an issue of quantity over quality, because I will remind you, one of the base roster characters was Salvador Ganacci, and his animations are still super rough. And I think once the hype dies down this season on Fatal Fury, you're going to see less characters in the preceding seasons up to the end of development, because on top of building a character for this game, you also have to make art for the arcade story and for the episodes of Southtown mode as well, which you probably forgot about. So you keep those in mind, and it paints into my theory that this output will be slowing down over time. I think it's quite fortunate and a little suspect that SNK can plop out 12 characters in a single year. Makes me think they were a little more ready than people might have thought they were.
Okay, I did quote this guy when I was talking about it. I don't remember what I specifically said, but I'm just gonna sort of think about it and paraphrase. But I believe that I said, and there was another guy too being kind of stupid about it, and I just made a comparison where it was sort of mentioning the whole, Saudi mandate, and it was also mentioning how they completely shoved in a DJ and Ronaldo, and I was just thinking to myself, okay, if SNK is beholden to do things like that, characters with, in my opinion, or people, I should say rather, in my opinion, with zero hype whatsoever, like people I don't give a fuck about in terms of seeing them in a fighting game, let me put it brutally honest, then yes, that is a lot more disappointing than seeing someone like Tifa and a couple of people centered around her in the past. One is more exciting than the other, and these are situations that will come up when these characters are slowly rolled out and introduced. It is a Herculean task for them to do something like this, but I remember Maniac bringing up a good point, saying that, well, what if they get lazy themselves? What if it's like they bring out a character and it's just the same, or it's just another clone character, or something to that effect? Overstuffing with characters where they play the same, we've seen this before, and we've seen it in the past as well with certain SNK titles where you had the Ness arc where you had multiple Kyos, and that was not great because they were clone characters. It just depends on how they do it, and I just dumbed it down to, I would rather take the quality over the quantity. Give me 4 great characters, or if you can do 6 characters and they're all great and exciting, then that is totally fine in my opinion. But if you give me just a bunch of bullshit that's lazy and uninspired, the costumes don't look great, the animations don't look great. I damn sure know that the animations on the DJ look like absolute ass, and I understand, oh, he's supposed to be a joke character, but it still looks like shit. Like I remember people were complaining about the animations for him and Ronaldo when they came out. So it's inexcusable. I would rather take a fully fleshed out animated character that is fully balanced over a hill of beans for a season pass contender. It's all about the quality to me, and I don't mind if it's 4. Should they do certain incentives? Yeah, sure. It was cool that they gave us season 1 for free. That was cool. That was fine. You do a little certain thing, you get the season 1 characters for free. Yes, more incentives should be introduced. I would not mind that, but it depends on how you do it. And if the quality is still high and great, it's fine. I don't mind 4 characters. So that's how I feel about it personally. Andre, it is your turn. What do you think of these criticisms of someone saying we should be getting more within our season passes and what SNK is doing with multiple characters? Do you agree with them or disagree?
I disagree on this point, and I'm gonna be brutally honest, especially in this age, making characters takes a really long ass time. Like, you gotta do their movesets, you gotta do the voice work, you have to do animations. Like, characters in general, especially now, can take months to complete. And honestly, I would rather have like 4 characters in a season pass, but all the characters are like really fun to play as. They're like very high quality. Like, they put a lot of work into their animations, move sets, and stuff like that. And like Rat say, with Street Fighter Crossroads, which I'm glad you brought that up. Like, I don't, I really don't think they need to like have like so many characters in, like, one pass, because I think 12 characters in 1 year is kind of ridiculous. I mean, yes, I know it's like drought, but I'd rather wait for something and it being high quality than getting a ton of characters, but the characters like really low quality or just not great. And I think really with SNK too, I know they have less money than Capcom, so that's probably why they're able to get characters out faster, because they're using Unreal Engine 4, where Capcom is using RE Engine, and RE Engine takes a lot longer because, like I said, those models can take months and months. So yeah, honestly, at the end of the day, it's like, I think people really have to. I don't think SNK is really the new standard. I'd say, 'cause I think Saving the Wolves probably might end support in like another year or two. I don't see it lasting any longer until maybe to like, I don't know, 2028. That's really all I have to say on that.
Well, what about you, Kaneki? It is your turn. What do you think of what this guy said, where there needs to be more characters in a pass? Do you think that 4 characters is fine, or is it outdated, or do you disagree with him?
Um, Usually I would say it depends, or I can understand both sides of the arguments, and my honest thing is both sides can't be wrong. That's the more I think about it. Like, yes, more characters in a fighting pass is actually a nice benefit, but I can understand that there will be a downside to it where the quality will probably not be matched, as to opposed, oh, why not just release 4 characters in like a span of like 3 to 6 months? Uh, and then, take your time making these characters so they won't, feel out of place. The gameplay just feels right. But on the other hand, I can see why people don't like the 4 characters format, because you gotta wait 3 to 6 months for those characters to drop. But the only reason I would disagree on that one as well is because, well, what if those characters you've been waiting for 3 6 months, the quality doesn't match the standard you expect? Like, let's say Yasmin comes out right now in Street Fighter 6. If her quality in terms of gameplay doesn't met up, what is people gonna do? They're most likely gonna complain about it. So it really depends on what developers do and how they handle each DLC characters, and how they do with the pass. Like, there is no right or wrong answer.
I just say that it all needs to be high quality. If it's not, it it affects both things. Like, if you
Yes.
put out a high output of shit and then the characters are just the same boring clone characters, or let's say there's imbalances, because I think another thing someone brought up is, what if there's poor imbalance on all sides? Then it means that that character is going to be dropped like a hot potato, especially if it's a character that is weak against everybody else. People are going to be like, oh,
Yeah.
they suck, moving on.
Yep. Look at Tekken Season 2.
Yep, Tekken Season 2, poor imbalance. People were like, yeah, I'm dropping this, moving on, and then they came back for the height of Season 3, and we are where we are now. So that stuff kind of needs to be taken into account. But we're going to move on to the next question, which is DC. They revealed a new fighting game over the week, and it is called DCKO, and it is a mobile title. Like, people were very excited at first. It looked pretty cool aesthetically, and then they found out it's a mobile game. So what are your thoughts on this reveal, and what would you actually like DC to do next? Then I'll go with Kaneki first.
As someone who didn't mind the Injustice series, in terms of the video game series of Injustice, I was willing to give this game a shot because I've been playing 2XKO outside of the main fighting game bubbles between Street Fighter, KO, Fatal Fury, and Tekken, and I was like, okay, I could see this work out in terms of DC. You know, hey, they're finally out of the Injustice bubble and decide, let's just make a fighting game that's similar to 2KO, except, 1v1 DC characters duking it out. And I could see I could see this working out, and probably in the long run. The issue is, why does it have to be a mobile game, DC? Warner Brothers. You had a chance to compete with 2XKO at best, and you couldn't even put it out for PC and a console release. You just put it at a platform where no one's gonna give a fuck.
I wanna go on this real quick. Okay. I have to bring this up, okay? I don't like the name. And I don't like the name for the reason of what social media was calling it, where it went from DCKO to DICKO. Like, people were calling it Dicko, and I was just like, this name is never going to escape being a meme. This is funny as fuck. Like, you just think that it's so funny. So Dicko was getting absolutely destroyed because it looks like, aesthetically it looks cool, but why the hell am I gonna get even remotely excited for a mobile fighter and it's not anywhere else? Like, the cool thing is that people will take games like this and they'll mod it on PC and they'll turn it into an actual fighting game, but I don't even think that's going to happen. I just feel disgruntled as a fan of DC, and in general, we know that Ed Boon's probably working on the next sort of Injustice. He already said that, I'm working on multiple projects. I'm working on the new Mortal Kombat, revealing all that stuff because they know this is years away. Therefore, this would have been a nice, and speaking of that brings up a good point. This would have been a nice bridge in between that, to have a fighting game that's kind of like AA or indie, where it's not really a lot of money put behind it, but they're really trying to make something good. And you'll have a bridge where it's like, hey, I have all these DC characters, I could just play the fighting game, no problem. I 100% agree with Twitter, where they're like, oh, Marvel Tokon is going to eat DC's lunch again, and Marvel Games is going to eat DC's lunch again because they are ahead of the curve on video games and releases, and DC isn't. And that's just the bottom line of the situation, which makes it more disappointing the more you think about it. I hope they get their shit together. They have a cool new creative head behind DC, but as we talked about earlier with the merger, I'm not having a lot of high hopes behind it because anything could happen, and just game divisions and layoffs, because we know layoffs are probably going to come when this happens. Bad stuff usually occurs behind the scenes, which is what I'm trying to brace for when this thing is on pause, supposedly next year, depending if it goes through, because we don't even know at this rate. Rat, what about you? Any thoughts on DCKO?
You mean Dicko?
God damn you.
So, okay. I only peeked at the gameplay, in massive air quotes, footage once. And to me, this looks like what people in a focus group think that a fighting game looks like. All this punchy, launcher, air combo stuff. It has the visual look of a fighting game, and I think it has Starfire in it. I'm legally obligated to play it because she was the reason I reinstalled Fortnite back in 2022 when they added her. So I'm not gonna hate too much on Dicko, because once upon a time I enjoyed a mobile fighting game once in a while. I played Power Rangers Legacy Wars before the power creep kicked in. I played WWE Mayhem because what other fighting game can you play as Adam Cole Bay Bay when it first launched? So long as Dicko stays away from all the pay to win traps of a typical mobile game, I don't see too much of an issue with this game existing. Don't worry, everyone. You'll get your Injustice 3 in due time, although, yeah, that name has to go. DCKO, aka Dicko, absolutely sounds like it would be one of those knockoff superhero games with a fake Spider-Man dressed in all blue fighting against, I don't know, Radioactive Man from The Simpsons, or at least some type of faux superhero with a nucleus symbol on his chest. You know the one. So there's already a bad impression with the name right off the bat, especially when Twitter does its Twitter thing and absolutely ruins it beyond repair. DCKO, please stop invoking memories of 2XKO, thank you. That wasn't a good time for most of us involved. I'd rather play League Classic than play 2XKO right now.
Oof.
Alright.
Yo.
Well then. Andre, it is your turn. You have any thoughts on Dicko?
I have a joke. It sounds like Dicko sounds like literally it sounds like a fucking rejected condom name.
It sounds like a porn parody with clowns. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking, abbreviating it like that.
Dog. I mean, I was gonna skip this question initially, but then I was like, not more, and it was like, bro, like, and this annoys the fuck out of me too. It's like, you got Marvel Tokon coming out like what, in a week or two? DC literally could have. I don't know. They could have literally done like another Injustice or something, but it's just so baffling because visually the game looked nice, but the gameplay just looks so terrible. So I don't know. It's just if DC really want, I don't know. This game's gonna be ass. That's all I gotta say. It's just if they really wanted to win people over, and they have the money, they literally could have just partnered up with us again to just do another Injustice or shit. Do what Invincible versus doing. Yeah, that's all. But that's all I really gotta say. Yeah, Dicko sucks.
Well, Alia, what is your thoughts? What do you think of the presentation of DCKO and the future of DC games in terms of fighters?
Obligatory ace person jokes. Dick, penis, eggplants, something, balls. I don't know. They've done mobile games before. There's been lots of mobile games. I was sponsored by one of their mobile fighting games last year. I can't even remember what it's called. Hold on. Pause. We head over to the Google Play real quick. But yeah, they've done multiple at this point. I'm not too surprised. I am surprised by the name though. as that's not a good Dark Legion. They seem to be just licensing it out to whoever, and I really wish, as messed up as this sounds, that NetherRealm got an exclusive license for making their fighting games, because it's been a rough year. It's been a rough year for DC games, man. Rough 2 years, if we want to go back to the Suicide Squad game. Yeah. That's my comment. Please change the frickin' name.
Yeah, and they need to get their, well, it's a little bit of a tangent, but they need to get their output up, and they need to stop canceling games, because that Wonder Woman cancellation, that still burns my ass. Like, I think about that every day. I think about that when I wake up, to the point where it's like, why? Why, oh why? And
Speaking
then,
of names, Ren, sidebar.
yes.
Did you hear about the 2XKO devs putting up a blog about how naming is hard, and they hard defended the 2XKO name, that it was the winner of like 400 different other names for the project? Like, bro, if you have to put out a fucking twit longer to defend your game title, you have already lost the argument.
I remember since inception, upon hearing the name for the podcast, when we started talking about it, I remember we were sitting there, and then it didn't take anything but 5 seconds for us to summarize and realize the name was horrible. Like, it could have been anything else but that. And we were giving suggestions and subtitles like League of Legends something, in order to boost what it was, in order for people to go out there and see what it is and maybe check it out. But no, it just feels alien.
Like
To
League
be
of
fair.
Fighters, Fighters Rift, anything. League of Legends is a popular IP. Arcane broke a ton of records and made people play League, which was previously impossible.
So, as someone whose friend works on the Valorant team, I won't say who, Ren Arizu knows who it is. They're also a streamer. The Riot very much, when they want something rushed out the door, executives come in the boardroom, go, okay, you narrowed it down to these names, pick one right now, or one of you is like getting fired, dude. Like, it's not a very fun environment all the time.
So they
Like,
Benson their way in there.
yeah, like it's like it's an environment where like a
Just
lot of
pick
people
the
get laid off a
shitty
lot.
fighting game name or you're fired.
So like and their employees suffer like a lot of harassment from people online when layoffs happen, and the company goes, "You're not allowed to say anything about the layoffs. If you do, then that's a problem." So like
We'll
it's
join them.
not a great. They get paid pretty well, but it's like not a great environment.
If only there was a boycott to Riot, but that will never happen.
That
Actually not going to happen this week with League Classic coming out.
Oh, hell.
Yeah.
don't chalk that one off.
And when
the
there
list.
is, they just
I'll
go
be
to
part of
Final
the
Fantasy
problem, I'll tell you
14.
that for free. I played League back in 2011. I remember the good times.
Oh man.
I don't think I've ever played League and don't plan to.
uh, I, with all the horror stories of people talking about 2XKO, I still might, pick it up and give it a college try.
The sad thing about it is, I've been asking for Lux to be in that game. She was announced at EVO. I'm super happy. And then I realize I have to fight about 54 echoes with a counter level 3 just to be happy that Lux is in the game. And oh, I have to earn her as well because fuck you.
That sounds like the progression and the meta is not good.
So 2XKO is very much League, but what if boom boom fight fight. When people joke about it, it's not a joke. You have to buy all of the characters except for like 2. I play Ari because she's free, and because I can unlock a bajillion recolors just by playing the game.
That
Yeah,
just
when you have to pay more for Arcade RE in 2XKO than you ever did League of Legends, the game is over. Shut down shop now.
Also, each character is $13 by the rerun.
Yeah, fuck off.
sweet Jesus, man.
$13, bro. That's
With no option to opt into like, oh hey, if you want to get an all character unlock, you could just pay like maybe $50 or something.
You do have premium currency that you earn over the game that will eventually allow you to unlock a character. You just need 10,000 of them.
what?
Just want
That's
to put a
nice.
bullet in my head.
Oh, what the hell? I'm glad I dropped that game now. I think about it.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
You'll just have to play the game.
I'm good.
The worst
I,
level of grinding you will ever see.
I I liked it for like 3 days and never played it again.
Well, we are moving on to
Fighting
our
games, everyone. I'm sorry, go ahead.
fighting games where you get your wallet grinded instead. Like, remember we used to play arcade and unlock the characters? Oh no. Uh, the good old days. But we're moving on to the next question, which is a character roundup. So, a lot of fighting games announced a lot of characters, and I kind of put them into like a sizzle question. We have Robo-Ky from Guilty Gear Strive being announced. We have, I suppose that's id. Correct me if wrong if that's wrong, but it's from Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising, and then we have Trinity from Blaze Brew Central Fiction, and Angstrom Levy from Invincible Versus. Which reveal are you excited about from here the most if you've seen them? And I would like to go with Rat first.
A big mistake because I have a lot to say. So I only replayed Strive once they added Jam, and once the spark I had for playing in Jam wore off, and I became disappointed with how she felt to play compared to how much fun I had with her in Xrd, I stopped caring about Strive once more. Don't have anything to say about Robo-Ky in that regard. I love his unhinged voice, and I think he's voiced by Kagi, which is perfect for a goof like Robo-Ky. However, id being added to Grand Blue Rising is a yes out of 10. It's good to see a character from Relink getting brought over, especially considering better late than never. There was an id avatar that you could select as long as you had Relink save data on your console. General shoutouts to Grand Blue Rising getting a Switch 2 version announced at EVO with all the fixins, all 40 characters playable out of the box, and oh, why yes, that does include id, the 40th character. Not to mention crossplay with PlayStation and PC. Since I'm rather mad at PlayStation for obvious reasons, and I'll probably let my PS Plus expire in a few months, I wouldn't mind switching over my Grand Blue Versus experience to Switch 2. I can lab it on the go. Just please make that a worthwhile port. My free time will thank you. The insane thing is Trinity being added to BlazBlue, the first new character added to a BlazBlue fighting game since 2017. And it's Trinity. I always wanted her to be in BlazBlue, or at least her dorky, nerdy, mage-like design to be playable in a fighting game and not whatever cutesy lolly slop that Platinum the Trinity was. I just hope Trinity's not too difficult to play, because this is BlazBlue's last chance to really hook me back in, because really all I have left with that game that I can play competently is Iron Tiger, and that's bad, because Iron Tiger has been reduced to a mere punching bag in the overall competitive meta. Also, Angstrom is whatever. When's Thrag? I admit, I'm falling out of love with Invincible Versus ever since the news on the layoffs hit, and just like 2XKO's layoffs, there were some noteworthy FGC regulars that got their pink slip, including Rip, of all people, your best and most noteworthy combat specialist on the dev team. He got the boot. It's just generally demoralizing, and it killed whatever small specks of hype I had for the game, like I did get Immortal, which is someone I did want, but the fact that someone like Thrag isn't page 1 on the base roster is a huge miss, considering how much of a presence he is in the, at the time, current season of the Invincible TV show. I feel like by the time the game actually gets Thrag, if at all, it will be a case of too little too late, and I really hope not.
Yeah, I'm gonna echo those same sentiments. Thrag is, if you saw what he did in the TV show, or if you are like me, where you're a comic reader and you are leagues ahead, it is very, very weird that he is just not there, considering that Thrag is just a beast at this rate. I mean, it goes without saying, personally. Uh, and yeah, I did enjoy my time playing the alpha of the game. I'm not going to lie, but hearing that they lost their combat specialists, it just makes me wonder. A lot is going to hinge on those future passes and what they do with them, and if they just don't turn out great, then the meta of the game may be dead before they even get to Thrag, which would be supremely disappointing. Fingers crossed that is not, but as always with possibilities, everything is in the realm of 50-50. As for the characters here, I guess I'll talk about the stuff I do care about, which is Angstrom for a bit. Like, yeah, it's I feel like it's just sort of, I kind of like him, but I also would have preferred, someone else, namely the one I just talked about. And I actually do like Kai. I base Kai for Guilty Gear Strive. When I played that game, I remember playing as that character. Therefore, it just seems like maybe he's this retooled robot character that has like certain moves and everything. That would be nice to see. This is one of my characters getting some sort of variation, so I have some vested interests, and everyone else is just in games where I haven't touched yet. Although that being said, I did want to get, I think Grand Blue, is that the game that put 2B in there, or am I mistaken?
That's the one.
Yes.
Yes, I want to
Yeah.
get it. I want to get it just for that, because I actually do somewhat want to see how 2B plays, even though I tried to massacre the character as Gerald the Witcher in Soul Calibur 6. I actually do want to play as her. And I remember the Maximilian clips as well, where he saw butt and he just literally exploded. But I want to see what her fighting style is and everything. Next up is Alia. What do you think of this character roundup of games and information and character reveals here?
I mean, I'm all for it. Like, I cool with like people getting new options. I really hope Grand Blue gets back on track with this. They've had some mixed opinions in the community over the last few months. BlazBlue is always BlazBlue. I think the only time they've really had a hiccup was BlazBlue R, which is still running, surprisingly, the mobile game. It's now available on PC too, through the Google Play thing. But yeah, I have no problems with any of it. I'm not really in tune with Invincible, so I'm kind of like out of that. That'd be more my personal counterparts, thing. They like Invincible, but I am not really that far into it. I've read some of the comics, but like not heavily into it, so I can't speak on that. So yeah, I'm most excited about BlazBlue. BlazBlue is my thing.
Kaneki, what about you? What do you think of the reveals of Angstrom for Invincible, Trinity from BlazBlue, Central Fiction, and Robo-Ky and id? I think he is ripped for now. We'll move on to Andre. So Andre, what do you think of this slew of reveals so far with this character roundup? Any characters you care about, excited about, or not?
Characters I care about in terms of the internal characters I care about the most for Okay, I'll say this: in Grand Blue versus Riding, fuck yes, I am really just really excited for that one because it was a really cool ass character in Remake, and I think him joining the Rising game was bound to happen. And I really like his animations and so on and so forth. As for Trinity Glassville, now that one really surprised me, and I have a weird theory about this actually. I think Trinity coming to Blaze Blue. I think we might get a new Blaze Blue game, and I have a weird feeling it'll probably be in the same visual style as Strive. Now, this isn't really like, oh, confirmed, but it's like speculation, but I think they're alluding to something, but still, it's really cool that she's in the game. Actually gives me a reason to go back to Central Fiction. I haven't played that game in fucking years. X-Storm Levy and Invincible is just, I don't really care. And as for Robo-Ky, well, lastly, Robo-Ky joined Strive finally. It was, like I said, I think two of these characters, like Robo-Ky, they were long overdue. Trinity was like a big surprise, was a very nice surprise, though. But overall, I'd say I liked 3 out of the 4. I'm not really a big Invincible fan, so I just don't really have much to say on Levy. Storm Levy is his name.
That's fine. That's pretty much fair. Has Kaneki returned yet? No, I don't think so. So we're gonna move to the next question, and then I guess when he comes back, we'll have him answer it. But Art of Fighting, Path of the Warrior, Art of Fighting 3R, was announced at EVO. It's a revamped version of Art of Fighting 3. What are your thoughts on the gameplay updates, the balance changes, and the addition of 2 new characters? And I will go with Rad first.
This is why I will always love SNK no matter what crazy country is paying their bills. Because they always have the most batshit crazy Evo announcements. Whether they're announcing a new Fatal Fury game, whether they're announcing the King of Fighters 15 in development alongside the first season, alongside a big season of Samurai Showdown content, whether they're announcing a re-release of SVC Chaos, thus reigniting the relationship between SNK and Capcom that led to Terry and Mai being in Street Fighter 6. Because some random hardcore staff member at SNK looked at the standard Art of Fighting re-release developed by Code Mystics and receiving the rollback treatment and the fancy art gallery, and all of a sudden that staff member spoke up to Code Mystics and said, "Hey guys, like what you're doing? Is it cool if we do the AOF3 re-release instead and add in new characters? Like, we want to give it the Ultra Street Fighter 2 treatment. You know what I'm saying? Great chatting with you guys. We'll do lunch." And then all of a sudden, the game's getting a rebalance and the addition of King and Yuri. You know, I find myself saying some variation of "this is crazy" a lot when it comes to recent fighting game developments, but even this is simply outrageous. A 30-year-old game that is noticeably obscure, even in SNK's own signature library, and it's not the easiest in the world to develop for, considering the rotoscoped madness that went into the sprite work of the original Art of Fighting 3, which makes this revision, and especially these additions, all the more surreal. I want to pick this up, and I wish I could pick it up on consoles, because it's PC exclusive right now. Because I would so pick this up on Switch too, so I could take it with me and give myself an excuse to play AOF 3 more than just a casual level. But thank you, SNK. In closing, thank you for having such a level of unhinged insanity on your staff that allowed AOF 3 Champion Edition to be born.
That's funny how you said Champion Edition. I like that.
Okay, I'm back.
Yeah, we're on question number 12, but since you're back, I want to ask you about question number 11 and question number 12. What do you think of the recent character roundup from various games like Guilty Gear, Grand Blue, and Blaze Blue, you know, Angstrom Levy with the Visible Versus, and what do you think of Art of Fighting 3R?
Well, I'm gonna start with question 11 first. It is, although I don't play much of Strive anymore, it is nice to see the returning Robo-Ky being in the roster because out of all the Kai variants that I love playing in the old Guilty Gear days, Robo-Ky is my favorite of the variants of that character's particular. Such a fun way to experiment with that character's combos and backstory. I haven't played much of Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising, so I don't know how I feel about the new character, and I didn't play much of the story, so I don't know about the new characters that's coming out for it, but I am excited that the Switch players are gonna have all the content when it comes out to that platform. Hopefully it's $40, but I could see it being worth the $60 if it's priced at.
For reference, the original Grand Blue Rising at launch is $50. I have no doubt in my mind that that
That
price
could
will
work.
carry over to Switch too.
And you know what? That could work. Because it'll be worth the $50. And as for Invincible versus, I already said in the chat, Immortal being included was actually a fun time when trying it out. I would say what my thoughts about Engstrom Levy being in the game, but due to the layoffs of some of the most important developers from that game, one of them being Rip, who was a lawman in Tekken, I refuse to talk about the game until something gets done about that because laying off some of the important developers that made the game possible is just not cool. It's not cool at all. And I uninstalled it as a protest to never touch the game again until further notice. As for Art of Fighting R, SNK with their Saudi money somehow made King and Yuri playable for an old game in like when the game came out in the 90s, right? Art of Fighting 3?
Yeah, mid 90s around there.
Yeah, 1996.
Like the fact they could add new characters into an old ass game like Art of Fighting 3, and then on top of that rebalancing it from the ground up, it's pretty cool of them to do. I just hope the beta comes out sooner because there was a sign up for it and I signed it up, and hopefully I get picked so I could try out Yuri and King in it.
All right, I assume at this point that's probably it for the Art of Fighting stuff. So we're gonna just skip to the beat 'em up question as always, since this is a fighting game and beat 'em up podcast. I typically have beat 'em up questions here. There hasn't been a lot on the beat 'em up front, but I'm considering Stranger Than Heaven a beat 'em up question, and oh boy, where do I begin with this? Okay, first and foremost, I'm gonna preface and say that the game looks incredible. I do like how it's all shaping up to be, and I'm sure if someone wants to chime in on how they feel about the game, they can. But the most egregious thing that they revealed here, and we were watching it at the conferences at non E3, I remember it just went silent, and you saw a shadowy figure walk out, and he was bald, and we all just had a collective gasp of, is that fucking Tupac on the screen? No, that is indeed Tupac on the screen. And it has sparked a sort of debate of saying, wait, now we're using dead characters or dead people in video games as characters. So how do we feel about these deceased characters being in these games? I would like to go with Kaneki first.
Well, the addition of Tupac definitely won't stop me from playing the game altogether. I can understand why, for a lot of people, it would turn them off and not touch the game at all. Because first of all, that dude is already dead. So who at Sega decided to give the green light of yeah, go ahead, use a dead character that that none of the parents gave permission at all to use. And if I'm not remember correctly, the story behind using the likes of Tupac goes deeper in that, to where it was Snoop Dogg and some white guy that has like ownership of using the likes of Tupac, and I'm just like, that's kind of disgusting, very disgusting.
Okay, I'll give my thoughts real quick. I've made a video on this, obviously, and I'm probably echoing the same sentiments that I did there to here, where this, on the one hand, this type of stuff has been done before in media. They have,
And it won't be the last.
it won't be the last. We've seen the infamous, oh, they brought back Stan Lee as AI for the Avengers Marvel parks, which was heavily debated and contested upon, and people didn't like that. There was one of the Ghostbusters that was resurrected in one of the scenes being done. I think it was by another actor and CGI, but whatever the case may be, they brought him back, they did a tribute, and people were kind of contesting that too. The most infamous example was The Flash. But this time, people kind of had a point, because it was just kind of like, you're using George Reeve and Christopher Reeves, and the family did not approve of this whatsoever. What the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you doing this? And to a point, I get it and understand. I feel like if you don't have the family permission, or if things are a little bit muddled, then it's going to be a very moral case of people disagreeing with that, not liking it, and I can kind of understand why. But on the other side of the fence, I will say, if they use someone's likeness and the family approves, and the tribute is done with respect and justice to the person as they portray it, then I think that's fine. I think that's absolutely okay to see something like that, of that nature, and it may need a lot of stars to align, but it can truly happen. Because I think Chadwick Boseman's sort of, just the reference to him and Wakanda Forever and whatever, I thought that was really good. That was really well done by Marvel, and they made sure, hey, we're not gonna recast them. And you see the recent developments of, they're using Chitala too. They're not using Chadwick. They're using his son. So that's a way to say, we're gonna move the timeline forward and time skip, but we're gonna find a new way that is more of a respectful way to do this and pass the torch. And I think that's fine. Nobody is gonna have any complaints. Nobody has any issues with that. That's the way to do it. But I think Sega's intent is obviously the money to do things to shock you with some of these guest appearances. Because I even kind of felt it with a person that's still alive, with seeing Snoop Dogg in this fucking game. I'm like, what is he doing here, and what's going on? So it's just a lot of oddball stuff. I'm still gonna play it, obviously. I'm still gonna probably enjoy the game. It's just weird, and it's just weird ways to induce hype into the game. Rad, how do you feel about this with Stranger Than Heaven and Tupac from Beyond the Grave?
Oh, I have a lot to say about this. First and foremost, the inclusion of Tupac in Stranger Than Heaven, it managed to, and I am sorry, there's no other word for this, it murdered any intention I had for purchasing the game. If you want to use deceased caricatures in your video game, then provided you go through the proper channels, it's fine and fair game. I have already established on this podcast that I'm not 100% against the usage of AI in your corporate product. And there are companies that can put AI caricatures to good use as long as they're for a good cause and not just including a dead celebrity because it's a cool thing to do. I want to give an example of this. There was a commercial for like a chicken food chain. I think it was like Raisin Cane's. I don't know if that's a thing around your area. The commercial was made in honor of National Chicken Finger Day. It included an AI Chuck Norris defending the restaurant chain from a bunch of villains as only Chuck Norris can. It was a cheesy but fun commercial that would have fit into any average Super Bowl commercial break. And I accept that because it's with the permission of the family. They're totally on board for this. Because there were donations made in the name of the Norris family's personal charity for every sale of like a chicken finger combo meal sold on that day. Now, that is a worthwhile usage of your blasphemous AI technology. The likeness of Tupac is, however, so out of the family's hands and has been so highly contested over the years that I doubt anyone from the actual family sees any of these profits. Let me remind you that Tupac's current likeness rights have been passed down to a white man. A white man who misappropriated tons of money from the Secure estate and thoroughly violated his fiduciary duties. So, what this comes down to is anyone but Tupac, please. That corpse has been violated far past what is considered humane. You've already unearthed more unreleased vocals from a guy who's been dead for 30 years. This poor man. So that Eminem and 50 Cent can collab with a man who has been dead since the turn of the fucking century on a track made for the goddamn Street Fighter live action movie that I fully expect to suck harder than the original Street Fighter arcade game. This situation is just ugly on top of incorrigible.
Andre, it is your turn. What do you think of Tupac and Stranger to Heaven?
Oh my god. Okay, so and Brad gave a really great answer, and so I'll give mine. I'm gonna be real. I think Snoop Dogg and Tupac and Stranger Heaven really fucking destroyed any interest I had in that game because I'm like, and this is really annoying me about video games. Like, why are they having all these damn celebrities? Like, I just like no, bro. It's like I get Yakuza's had celebrities in their games prior to this, but Snoop Dogg and Tupac just don't really fit because this game takes place like again 1920s. Like, come on, man. I think this is really gross and kind of disgusting because like it really begs the question: do they use an AI of Tupac's face and voice? Like, who's gonna do the voice of him in this game? And mind you, in terms of likenesses, other games using likenesses of dead actors, like the upcoming Onimusha Way of the Sword. They're using Toshiro Mifune's likeness from Musashi, but I think with that, I can at least say for that one and give it a pass. Like they actually got permission from Mifune's family, and I think it actually fits because Mifune wasn't in a lot of samurai movies. He was in a ton of the Akira Kurosawa films, like was the Hidden Fortress, Yojimbo, so on and so forth. So it's like something that at least makes sense in its authenticity. But Tupac is just I think it's gonna age really badly, and yeah, it's just really fucking scummy. And if anyone's wondering if I'm gonna get the game, I'm probably gonna wait like 34 months because that's the way I'm just out of line. I promise RGG because a certain remake of a third game that came out earlier this year. Yeah, I'm not gonna get over that, but all I gotta really say is Tupac in Stranger to Heaven, fucking yikes.
Alia, what about you? What do you think of them using Tupac in Stranger Than Heaven?
This is gonna be weird because I used to yeah. I remember when I first met you, like the thing I owned was like 6 of the same Tupac shirt. But basically I feel conflicted. So here's why. So Snoop is involved, right? Snoop owns part of the rights to Tupac's music because he owns Death Row now. And Snoop is also in contact with Tupac's mom. So I imagine a conversation had to have happened, and maybe the rich white guy is just a technicality legality thing where they have to have him sign paperwork, which I hope is what happened, because the fact that they, work together so much. But at the same time, it does feel icky, even if his mom signed off on it. So I don't know. Maybe they'll have the actor who played him in the movie voice him. That way it's not robotic and stuff. But it is a little weird.
I would like to remind everyone that Tupac's parents has not signed off at all with this game, or have the permission of his likeness.
Yeah,
So
they have very little to do with this. If anything, the sister is fighting the current estate to get the
Yeah.
rights back. It's all very ugly and ongoing.
Indeed.
Yeah.
That's why I said, like, with Snoop being involved, I don't know if there was a conversation, because of the fact that he does know the family. Like I said, best case scenario, I was hoping it was just the dude was just signing paperwork, since Snoop does own the music side now. The music itself, not the estate, but, like, you know what I mean. The compositions.
So we have arrived at the final question here, which is Dead or Alive last round. So to put it in layman's terms, basically they know that things are fucked up with this game. There have been people begging Team Ninja for rollback, for crossplay for months, and they just haven't done it. Things have fell silent. The reviews for DOA last round is in the toilets as far as I'm looking at Steam. And they said that there's going to be an update. They said that, hey, we realize that, fan feedback is important. We fucked up. Putting it mildly, but that's what this big hodgepodge of a statement is. And I wanted to ask people, do you think this game can be saved? I heard the online is dead because, well, if you're going to make some of the worst consumer practices known to man, then eventually people will be like, fuck this, I'm not buying this update of this game, and it's a wasteland. So what was the purpose of this, and do you think it could be saved, or is it just, hey ho, we're on the train for DOA 7? And I will go with Rat first.
My brother, it was time to move on to Dead or Alive 7 in 2020, when development on the original DOA 6 wrapped up. I understand why they put out some kind of DOA re-release, because you had to do something to keep the energy for DOA 7. But it's such low effort and such a slap in the face to legacy owners. Especially if you bought any kind of DLC for the original DOA 6, and then Koei Tecmo tells you to kick rocks and says no legacy discounts, period. Especially having to buy back my main Kula Diamond, because I'm sure it wasn't cheap in relation to Koei Tecmo to bring the KOF collab characters back for last round. I'm sure the DOA 7 is going to be so far removed from the stink of DOA 6, but yeah, this attempt to build up interest in a game that won't be out for 2, maybe 3 years at least really fell flat on its face, and it sadly went over about as well as a fart in church. But what do you expect from noted good game Dead or Alive 6?
Alia, you were next. What do you think of Koei Tecmo doing all this, these updates, and everything?
So I want to start by saying Kasumi's DLC doesn't look like bad, neither does Marie Rose's. I hate that they're $7 per color. I think that's stupid. They should be a bundle. They're all the same outfit. Like Marie Rose's 3 outfits are just 3 colors, 3 different colors of the same outfit, and same with Kasumi. I don't care that they're covered up. Not everything needs to be naked. There are plenty of naked outfits in DOA 6 and DOA 5. You want to go see naked outfits? Go find naked outfits, or go play Dead or Alive Beach Volleyball, where you can find both normal swimsuits for volleyball and naked outfits. There's even a feature where you can pay to make them completely naked now, so like, bruh. But, like, I I think they kind of shit the bed. I think last round should have been like DOA 5, where it was a free upgrade for anybody who bought the deluxe edition of the original release. They didn't do that, unfortunately. I think they fucked up there, and I think crossplay should have been a thing a long ass time ago, because DOA 5 had crossplay, so it's not like they don't know how to do it. And yeah, I think 7 they need to clean up their act on. 6 needs to be given away as free. Like the fact that you spend $70 twice is kind of ridiculous. You shouldn't have to do that, especially because like on PS5 I have it. On PS4 and PS5, it auto installs the update files to make it last round. You just can't access it unless you buy the new thing. It's already taking up the space on my console. Just hand it over.
Okay, this is just a sort of disaster. Or it might be an understatement, but it's still a disaster because it could have been, if they just tweaked things and they were just a little bit more attuned to the feedback. And I'm gonna reference this YouTuber on here because he's been doing a good job trying to let Koei Tecmo know, but Emery Reigns, he's been trying. He literally goes to the fucking server and says, you know, this is what you needed. This is what the people from the Reddit are asking for. Roll back, all this other stuff. Make it easy transition for the people who bought stuff. Because I knew the biggest issue was going to be the people that bought stuff before, and now you're sort of telling them to buy stuff again. And the D-list as well that happened, where it's like, well, we're getting rid of this version. You better get it. And then I'm someone who got the Core Fighters version, and I'm like, I don't think my Ayane is gonna transfer over, and those are the things that are pissing people off, really. And it was no shock that because of that, and not only the fact that the reputation of DOA 6. Now, I'm the odd man out on this podcast. I rather enjoyed what DOA 6 was at the end of its life cycle, but I do know the flaws with it. I do not like the supers. I don't like any of that stuff, but I had a great time playing it online, and all they had to do was just make it a little bit better, and they would have got a decent bump. But because of that, and being so hard-headed, it's like now you kind of just absolutely shit the bed. And because of this, I just think that it's like what people have been saying, where this was a quick cash grab in order to try to reinvigorate some interest and get some money into the pockets of Koei Tecmo. And it's not going so great in terms of fan feedback. It's like, just, you see the train that's about to crash, and you could easily stomp on the emergency brakes, and you just choose not to do it. And that's what the situation feels like. I'm all for DOA 7 and what you're offering there. I can't wait, and I hope you learn from the mistakes of not only DOA 6, but DOA 6 last round. Jesus. Oh man, it's like a repeat that happened, and in different ways too. As for what they said, it remains to be seen. I'm not gonna say that they're gonna remedy all of the problems, because it's a slow rollout until then. I guess we'll see in the later months. Will I change my stance unless I'm able to transfer my shit over, which is the first update that they should do? Then I'm just not going to play or support the game, or at least buy it at all, until I'm able to transfer my stuff over. I guess we'll see what happens. That's kind of where I'm sitting, but they really fucked this one up. Next is, well, Kaneki. What do you think of this news and information?
This is a prime example of what I said a few years ago about not every company will follow the rollback crossplay being the norm for fighting games mandate. And so far, this is the prime example. Team Ninja, or Koei Tecmo in general, is one of those companies that are so hard-headed that they'll not do such thing. Maybe unless until, they get a lot of pushback to where they'll probably do it for DOA 7. But I don't want to talk anymore about DOA 6 last scam, because that's what this is. Last scam.
Andre, any opinions on DOA 6 last round in terms of how they're handling this rollout and how they're handling the feedback they were supposed to do eons ago?
I genuinely think they should have delayed this game quite a bit. Like, honestly, I feel like it should have just been like, have it come out like September or fucking October. And I know, granted, yeah, like, it'd be going up against other games at the same time. I'd rather them delay and fix all the problems, actually make sure the rollback is good, actually don't make customers having to buy all the DLC again, make it actually a complete game. And I know they're doing like new characters, but I feel like they fucked up the launch so much that no one's really going to like play those new characters at all. And also the OA7 is just, I think we're like a year or two off in that game, and I don't know, man, because they really gotta go out the ground running, because Koei Tecmo, like I said, they dropped the ball not once but twice with DOA 6's original launch and last round, so they can't really afford to fuck up the third time, because oof, it's not gonna look good on them.
And that is it for the questions of the night. Really, really good discussions, really good stuff. Some funny times, as DOA is called last game in the chat. But we're gonna start doing our sign-offs and outros. We're going to start with Andre. Where can we find you on social media, buddy?
You can find me at Twitter at Andre B. Venom. I'm also on Blue Sky. I should probably use that site more. I'm on YouTube. I stream pretty often. And yeah, that's really about it. Yeah, it was a really fun podcast that we had.
Next up is Alia. Where can we find you on social media?
On the bird app, it's Leah_Lovey VT. I had to do it that way because Twitter's stupid. And then on Blue Sky, it's at alealove.net. On the YouTube's Leah Lovey channel, Leah Lovey CH dot the VTuber thing. And yeah, that's it. That's it. Braingo Burr.
You can find her probably waiting for the future to beat people up online in DOA 7 as well. Which,
100%.
which I cannot wait for, because that is going to be fun. Let me use a beach ball as a weapon. Can I do that? Please?
Let me just, well, yeah, actually, so if you play the survival mode, yeah, you can like grab beach balls and stuff to fix your health and shit.
Oh yeah, you're right about that. The tag modes, I forgot about those. Those are my favorite. Please bring that back. Bring back survival and bring back tag. I'll be happy. Next up is Mr. Kaneki. Where can we find you on social media?
You can find me on YouTube, X, or known as Twitter, still to this day for people, and Blue Sky, known as Ghoul World Order. And man, I'm just getting ready to play Ahsoka's Wrath again on a certain platform, 60 frames and all.
Rad, where can we find you on social media, buddy?
You can find my Blue Sky at radrad.bsky.social, and you can find my YouTube channel, Radrad's Rad Games, where I just uploaded a video for the first time in 18 months titled My Lily's Undefeated Journey from Blue Rank to Tekken King. It's just 50 minutes of me going on an unprecedented win streak through the blue ranks of Tekken 8, so please check that out.
When I was on yellow rank all the way to flame ruler, I wanted to die, but I managed to get through it. And then if I feel like if I go blue and higher, I'm definitely gonna want to be in the morgue. So
yeah, blue rank, you have to play dirty. Like, look up look up strategy guides for here's your best characters buttons, here's the cool things they can do, throw it out. Everybody's expecting you to use them. You need to be unorthodox and flat out evil. Get to know the character's worst buttons, the ones that people aren't expecting. I get so many free wins with Lily's down forward 4-4, it's not even funny.
I will take that into consideration, yes. While I'm getting my ass kicked and thrown to the ground by King. But you guys can find me on YouTube or Blue Sky or Twitch, usually at Renegade Operative or Ren Operative or any of the variants there. I'm not really a hard man to find. You can find all those links somewhere stuffed on my YouTube at Renegade Operative. I will be not only working on this podcast for Infinite Ammo, but I will also be uploading a review on Obsession because I really enjoyed the movie. I figure it's time to talk about some good horror, and that was one of them. So I uploaded a video on Backrooms as well, so check that one out. And as for the next Buster Wolf, it's going to be quite some time because we're in between either a lot of like distant releases or distant future where we will probably be talking about Virtua Fighter, and that's just gonna be so far out, man, that I'm just waiting for more fighting game news. I already know that watch parties of certain Evo will probably not be held next year because of reasons, but I will keep track of the news as always because holy shit. There's a lot of dirty politics behind certain things. But I'll keep my ears to the grapevine at least. So this is Infinite Ammo, another fun discussion. We are signing off, and we will see you beautiful people out there next time. Later.